This is the Bold Statements Podcast. I'm Chase, and I have Ryan and Spencer with me today.
Yo.
What's going on?
This is Ryan's voice. Just thought I might introduce that.
We are listening to Brooding Espionage for the intro song. It doesn't have a title, it's just named the prompt that
Who is that written by?
Oh.
What?
Who is that written by?
What?
The music we're listening to now.
Me?
It's fantastic. I really love your work.
This is the same intro as episode 1.
Yeah.
We talked about it.
And we went through this.
Please compliment me.
Nice.
I love the sound aroma you're giving off.
Thank you.
Is there a word for that?
I feel like we're having...
You nailed it.
Sound
aroma.
And, if there is a word that directly parallels with the phrase sound aroma, then that word will not do it justice because it is a smell, but it is a sound as well.
You mean ambience?
It's not ambience, it's sound aroma. Ambience, sorry for the mispronunciation.
Or environment.
I think sound aroma really gets the mind thinking about it. Because you have a different feeling when you listen to sound versus when you walk into a restaurant and you smell that,
I think of
freshly
Mexican
cooked steak or
Mexican food.
fajitas.
Yeah. You ever notice that every time you listen to turn the I don't know if this is the right term, Mexican radio?
Yeah.
And then every time I hear that, I start thinking about Mexican food, and it gets me super hungry. I think I'm eating a bowl of queso,
Yeah.
Chips. They come over, ask for my order. I tell them the same thing every time.
What do you tell them?
It depends on the restaurant, actually.
Some
places I get the standard pollo loco. Is that it?
Pollo Loco.
Pollo
Just
loco.
the cheesy chicken stuff.
Yeah. And then over at what is it? What is the place we usually go to? Cozumel. They have that one burrito.
Carne asada.
Yeah.
I really like, and I think this is popular with a lot of chains and individually owned places, but the Burrito California.
Dude, that's
I'm not into that.
That's a stacked one. Dude, you serious?
It's like when you haven't eaten for 3 days and you want some.
Oh, yeah.
some
Isn't that with a bunch of vegetables though?
No.
I think it has some jalapenos.
When I think of
bell peppers.
bell
peppers.
Oh, well, it depends on if you're talking about.
Depends on the place.
Okay. If you get shredded chicken, that's when they put all the vegetables. You got to tell them grilled specifically. When you tell them grilled chicken, they don't put the vegetables in there. Keep that in mind.
Every time I think of California for like a designating a food item, I think of just vegetables. Like Taco Bell has
Wait, Taco Bell does vegetables?
They do the AM Crunchwrap California style, and it doesn't have any meat. It just has vegetables, and that's
a big trend nowadays. Is the vegetarian and vegan lifestyles, and especially prominent in the Western United States, and in the West in general. I would say all of America is undergoing a big kind of vegan vegetarian epidemic, and not necessarily a bad thing, but perhaps the ideals of why someone would do that. A lot of people don't do it just for healthy eating; they do it to save the animals. Is how they would put it.
I've had many arguments with vegetarian, vegan / style of people. Not arguments, but my main argument is how can you not eat meat?
Right. If you've ever had it, and even for people that have converted, it's extremely hard for them to
we've been
first
conditioned.
Get away from that.
We're conditioned so hard in America, especially.
What do you
it's
mean?
Animalistic. It's humanistic.
Well, it's definitely. Yeah, how long has life been eating each other? Forever.
Yeah. That's what created life.
Yeah. But then, then suddenly when we have the morals, then it's our job to uphold, that value of life. That's the kind of the idea.
Here's my thing.
It's kind of like if we don't have to, then why should we? That's the idea.
But things have been advanced. Okay, here's what I usually say when I'm talking to a vegetarian person that, questions why I eat meat.
Yeah.
I say, look, do you think that I hate animals? Do you think that I think we should that it's great that we have to factory farm cattle and chickens?
No, I don't think that any of them feel like that.
No, this is what I say to them. I say, do you think I?
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying.
And then I'm like, no, but do you realize that world hunger has gone down significantly because of things like that?
Oh yeah. For sure.
So, are you going to tell people in other countries that, hey, guess what? It's just so sad for those animals. We're just not going to do that anymore.
I don't think they consider that.
I don't know where you're going to get your food.
Yeah.
It'll never happen because we just have too many people.
They don't. Well, they don't. They're not talking about them. They're talking about us. They don't. Consider
okay,
it,
but there's plenty of people in America who are the same way.
Yeah, true.
Well, my two cents about it.
Go eat. Go ahead.
Oh, my 2 cents about it is, okay, someone approaches me. They're a vegetarian, vegan. They only eat meat. I guess that would be a carnivore. Or they're like most humans, eat a little bit of both. I don't have an issue with either of those lifestyles. I know many people that do it for health reasons, and I can understand, like, only eating leaves every day. Yeah, you'll lose weight. I also believe that you don't get a lot of nutrients by choosing that path. I also believe that with the animal argument, the save the animal argument, there's a lot of really where I come from. I think is the biggest point is overpopulation, and if we all stopped eating animals on this earth, which it's never going to happen, but if we did, it would really be crazy. Like the amount of the streets would be overrun by animals when you think about how many animals, how much animals would reproduce in a short amount of time.
Well,
so why didn't they before?
I don't
know.
I mean, they did
exactly what I think about when you'd say that is like, so vegetarian people would say, not even vegetarians. Let me throw you like climate change, right? So they would say like, they're probably also, they want to save the animals, but then it's like, oh, well, one of the main problems as far as carbon dioxide is factory farming and the amount of cattle that we have releasing methane gas.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to end that, right? To save the planet. But like, you're an animal activist. What are you going to do with all those cows? You just going to kill them? Or do they get to live and just not have... Do you tell them they don't get to reproduce? I don't understand.
Where the line is drawn. I mean, it's a double-edged sword either way. When coming from save the animals type of viewpoint.
Save the animals, save the planet. And if you say, well, one of the biggest producers of atmosphere-harming chemicals is the cattle, because of the amount of cattle we have. Just roaming.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the world could live off chicken.
I have something to say about chicken, and I don't know if y'all have ever seen this documentary. I forget exactly what the name of it is, but it goes inside these Tyson chicken farms.
Yeah.
Yeah, and how you see the chickens, and they're injected with these with hormones that make them grow like exponentially faster than they would naturally.
What's like the time frame? It's like I feel like it was like 4 months or something like that.
Yeah, it's really short, and and if you look at pictures like back in the 1920s, 30s, over 100 years ago, you had these chickens. You see maybe a farmer, and you'll see these chickens, and they're not fat. The chicken was not naturally meant to be that big, so big to where it couldn't walk, or even so big to where it visually appears big to us. I think that if you look at a picture back then, they look skinny. The chickens are skinny. The chickens run around. They live on a farm. They're not injected with all this like hormones to make them grow faster. And we could go into that a little bit. The deep dive on that would be that kind of two things.
Okay.
The chickens, I don't think that. I mean, I don't know the science behind it, but I don't certainly feel right. I would feel more right eating a chicken that grew up on a farm without anything injected into it, versus something being injected to it.
Yeah. Okay. I think most people would.
But then again, I mean, the other side is that you have the farmers that are being the private farmers, the small town, so to speak, farmers are being kind of overruled by these larger companies like Tyson.
Yeah, have you seen that? Where like they have to go in and they have to meet all these requirements by Tyson, because Tyson is pretty much, I mean, it's the leading supply. I mean, what would you call it? Distributor?
Yeah.
Okay.
Of chicken.
Yeah. And so
on the planet.
It's like pretty much them or go find your own, and then that's a whole other situation that most of people who only know farming, what are they gonna do? And so when they go into this, they tell them the requirements are this amount, this blah 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 blah, until it's about like, I think one of them was like, I had to take out a massive business loan, like $750,000, and then what does he make like a year? I think it was like close to 50 or 60,000. On chickens.
Tyson will come in and buy up the farms and say,
Oh, yeah.
well, our offer to buy, say, hey, you can work for Tyson. You obviously have a chicken farm here, but you're going to have to roll by our regulations.
Yeah.
And how we inject chickens, and how you're going to have, instead of 1,000 chickens on your farm, you're not going to have 10,000 chickens on your farm. And you're going to have to go in there and really experience that kind of that dark room where 1,000 chickens are in.
Oh yeah, and they're all clustered up. And they have like the pipes with all like the secreting.
Most of them can't even walk.
Yeah, they can't walk.
So what? Okay.
But what are we saying here? Like,
no, I'm just. What are we supposed to? What would the solution be? What are you gonna tell Tyson that they can't do their business in a certain way?
The only way to do that would be for a mass boycotting of buying their products.
Yeah, I was about to say that's up to the consumers.
Or government intervention if they have some
like
scientific proof that what they do is bad for the human body.
What about
or like monopoly? Like if they could
Right.
probably rule them as monopoly at some point, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
especially when they buy up
true.
all these smaller farms, family
Yeah,
farms.
they're definitely doing that. They could also be. Have you seen the stuff lately where this dude grew artificial chicken from like a plant?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's the future, bro.
Yeah, it is. It
meat,
is.
meat made in a lab.
Yeah.
That'll probably be what changes the game.
That's getting real, to be honest. Because the dude actually did it. I mean, of course, it's not the real deal. It's never going to be the real deal.
Oh no, I mean,
but he's like, he took a bite and he's like, yeah, it's okay. And he was like, went through that process, and it was like I don't remember, like 8 months or something like that.
Well,
like
the
crazy.
nutritional value of some of those homegrown or the lab grown burgers is minute compared to what you get.
Yeah,
from
I'm sure.
Yeah, and I think they're doing all that gene editing stuff, making that process, that lab growing process, most efficient as possible, and to provide the most nutrients as possible in a lab. I want to say that I read something the other day that was talking about how they would actually exercise the muscle somehow to actually get that extra
trying to build the mass.
Build the mass, and somehow that may have contributed to the nutritional value. But I agree.
It's not going to be perfected. I'm thinking definitely one day it'll probably live up to the same nutrition though.
Mm-hmm. And kind of touching on the whole save the animals aspect, the reason why I guess some people come from that really, really firm mindset of save the animals, quote unquote, is because they think that, and this is a touchy subject, like science really doesn't know. We don't really know, like if a chicken can
chickens can definitely feel pain,
but true.
I think that's a lot more debatable when it comes down to fish.
But then chickens, compared to humans, you can't even compare them on the same level of intelligence. So it's like,
not the same intelligence, but they still have a nervous system. They can definitely. I mean, what are you gonna do if they can feel you touching them, they can surely feel, pain.
Right.
You know what I mean? I feel like fish are like kind of like
Do you get what I'm
close
saying,
to,
though?
I know
But
what
why
you're saying.
I
It's
don't
probably-
understand why we draw a line anywhere. I mean, if it's an animal,
What do you mean why we draw a line anywhere? Same line
You
we
like you
draw
say-
when we come with dogs.
like a chicken, right, can feel, but then you go like, well, a fish can't. Even if it can't, like,
No,
I'm talking about the emotional aspect.
I'm saying it's probably more debatable because it's a lot further down the evolutionary line.
Not only pain, but like as emotions.
yeah,
well,
but
emotions is a whole different aspect of that. If that's what you're getting into, then you're discussing whether or not, I mean,
There's something here that we're not exactly hitting on, and it's like,
look at a dog. Okay,
okay,
can you tell me that that's not?
Can we look at something that's not as close to, like, let's look at chickens. Chickens are a good example in my opinion.
Let's look at chickens.
Is it bad? Okay, do you think that it is morally bad to the chicken? Morally, on the human scale, bad to the chicken. If I go up and break his leg
Yes.
and just leave it there.
Yes.
yeah, that's cruel.
Okay.
You're not doing a swift,
I assume if you got caught doing that, it would probably
provoke.
be a crime of some sort, animal cruelty.
Okay. So here's where the connection lies. Where do you draw the line of cruelty? Tyson, the chicken's life is pretty much all on the ground.
Yeah.
Can't walk.
Do you think they care though?
It's miserable.
Do you think they care?
But if y'all say that that's cruelty, breaking a chicken's leg and leaving it there.
Well, here's the thing. We
Or-
know that's cruel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then why?
And
When we see
that's-
these videos of these chickens on the documentary,
Well, that's
it's
the
essentially
debate.
the same thing.
That's the debate. Okay. It's like these chickens. You're
Are we
saying,
debating whether or not?
Well, we're literally debating on do they care about their quality of life? How are they supposed to
There it
know
is.
what a quality of life is?
Okay, that's kind of what I wanted to get to, and I wanted to see both of y'all's opinions on that because I've really had trouble comprehending it.
Well, there's no it. Well, I guess this could actually be parallel to humans in a way. Hold on, let me just say it. So, how's a chicken gonna know that it loves living outdoors without it being outdoors? Same thing of a human. Have you ever seen the thing where it's like there's a big psychological case because it was a child that was locked in a basement till about they were like discovered about 10 years old or something like that, and it was never taught anything, and all it was locked in this dark basement, and it would just defecate, and it was like strapped, okay, and they came out and had serious psychological problems, of course, because they never had any social anything, and they didn't learn, so they didn't know what to do. Like, I don't even know how it is right now. I don't even know if this person's still alive.
Yeah.
But so that obviously that person had no assurance of what a quality of life was, and might still not, to be honest. So how do you compare that to a chicken? A chicken who what all animals care about. Honestly, what all animals care about is food. They care about surviving and they care about reproduction. That's what animals. That's their goal: survive, reproduce. Chicken, it goes outside, eats grass, lays eggs.
Yeah. As far as like the human who gets locked in a basement thing, I think but there's always got to be a distinction. Like you can animal cruelty is a thing, right?
Yep.
But a chicken doesn't have the same rights as a human being, whether
Yep.
or not a human being doesn't know what a quality of life is. Anyway, like you can't.
I think that's what.
Like we keep
yeah.
brain dead people. Like that's a difficult debate.
Oh yes.
People who they say will never come back.
Mm.
They're just in a coma, brain dead, whatever. Like it's a human being still. So it's like there's always going to be a line drawn, and I think there's a group of people, probably a growing group of people, who want to expand humanity's rights outside of humanity. And I think we're going to see this become a real problem. I don't know. It's not really a problem when it comes to animals, other than like, are you going to stop a farmer, or are you going to stop a hunter from going out and killing a deer and feeding his family with that deer for a year? Because that deer has rights to live. No. But the real problem is going to come when we start giving rights to artificial intelligence. So like that, it's kind of the same deal, right?
So do we base rights, this general term that we have? do we base rights on intelligence level? Okay.
Yeah, I was about to ask this too.
So we have. Let's just go through an example. You have an ant. You have a chicken. You have a dog. You have a human. Where is the? So you would compare those. You would compare the rights of those equivalent to its intelligence level.
Not necessarily.
Okay, explain.
Because I think we have an obligation to not mistreat. Like, we are the caretakers of animals and plants and all that, and the earth, right?
Right.
But I don't know how to say it, right? It's like, you can't give rights. It's always going to be like, just forget about rights. It's always going to be a hierarchy of predator-prey, a predator-prey hierarchy. It's a food chain. Before there were humans, there was still a food chain, but the top of that food chain didn't become like a right-giving society, right? There was no civilization.
Until humans came. Humans are a completely different story, so it's like...
Yeah, so like...
this is why the conversation is difficult.
Because there was no conversation
this
before.
Is why we can even have a conversation.
There was no podcast about, well, you know, we're these great big dinosaurs, and these little dinosaurs that we eat, it's just like, maybe they should have rights too. There was no conversation like that, right?
So, in human words, we relate this concept of rights to this concept of intelligence.
Also, the top of the
I guess,
food chain.
but like, what are we supposed to do?
Right. I'm not making an argument, but
I think
I'm saying, is that what we do?
I don't know what we do. I never really thought about it.
I wanted to tie this back to, so there's this other side of the spectrum that people who like us, I guess all humans, most humans could be on this spectrum, is that we, in general, we shouldn't be cruel to animals. I think we all can agree that in this podcast.
Yeah.
So we have us, the people who think that we shouldn't be cruel to animals, which I think that's a reasonable assumption. That's a reasonable kind of conclusion to have. And then, like I said before, we have these people on the other side who say that no animals should be killed, and then the rest of humanity falls within those two.
But at some point, humanity is more important than the animals,
right?
Yeah.
In cases of
because we
starvation,
kill
or we need
millions and millions of animals to feed us.
Mm-hmm. And then some people argue that we only need we can completely convert to a plant-based diet.
Let me go ahead and lay this on you.
Okay.
Right? Bold statement for the Bold Statement podcast. How can you draw a line to plants? A plant...
Okay, this is a bold statement.
a plant... Okay, there's been studies, right?
Plants are one of the most intelligent species on the planet.
Right? Like,
well, they're not intelligent.
You could talk
they're evolved.
You can talk about mushrooms
and how define intelligence
and how they're connected over like huge swaths of land, and how there's people who I'm just talking vaguely here because I don't know the studies and all that, but I've heard about there's the idea that possibly in big areas, like bigger than you would imagine, all the plants are connected in the ground.
Yeah.
Just like
And
Avatar.
they communicate
James
with
Cameron's
each other.
Avatar 2009.
Oh, what do you?
They
what-
land on the
okay.
planet, and all the trees are one
Like, okay.
massive neural net, and it's like they're
What do you-
communicating.
What do you think what they mean by communicating though?
Using each, it's like an it's not like talking to each other, but it's like it's one system.
But what do you think they're doing? You know,
I don't know.
it's
Maybe can like one.
Allocating
just,
resources.
I don't even
all,
know-
all it is really. And here we go. I'm about to go on a little biology thing that I'm probably wrong about. So it's
Well-
just hormones. Most of the time, it's just
The allocating of resources.
meaning.
I've heard about
Anything.
I've heard
Meaning
about
that anything that a plant needs to survive, if it's in some kind of network of some sort of plants, then it's going to allocate resources to keep itself alive.
So
I
I've
don't know
heard,
what you mean by allocating resources, though.
Resources
Well,
meaning
I've-
anything that it needs to survive.
Okay.
I've
or
heard
evolve.
about a case where like a disease
Mm-hmm.
that killed off a certain type of tree
Yeah. Okay.
would like
It notifies the rest.
travel in a direction, right? And then trees further down would change
Yes. That's exactly what they do, actually.
themselves to like try to combat that.
Yeah. What most of the time, what they'll
That's
do
insane.
is they'll
And
start.
that's only like a recent discovery, I think.
Is it?
I'm pretty sure.
They
not,
actually
not
started
recent,
teaching this a little bit. And,
not recent as in like 2 years, but like I think
yeah. Okay.
in modern science.
Well, what they were saying was when that happens, yeah, you're right. Is like when disease starts enters, the cells will start distributing these hormones across the rest of the plant. And I guess that when it's connected like this network, it goes to all the other plants. And they'll what they'll do is they'll either send some kind of I don't know, plants use antibodies, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But what they'll also do is just start killing off the cells that are so it doesn't spread. They'll just start killing off parts of the plant.
Yeah.
And then another big thing, most of the time, when they do this, it's talking about predators, predation. Because this was actually a really interesting thing. Was that we discussed what do plants do about predators if they just sit there? They can't run, so what do? And most of the time, it's this. It's like when something's predated on, they'll send these hormones either through the air, and let the other plants
Through the
know.
air.
Yes, through the air.
What, like
Yes.
pollen or something? Like some kind of
Again,
physical thing
I'm not
that
sure.
we could
I'm not
see?
sure. Fun fact: when you
Probably
you
not.
kill a grass and you swim on that grass, that's it telling the rest of the grass, "Hey, we're being eaten."
Wait, say that again?
Whenever you cut grass, that fresh grass smell.
Yeah.
That's the grass telling all the other grass around it, "Hey, we're being eaten."
Is that for real?
Yes.
I'm going to
I
fact
thought
check
that's
that.
just what grass smells like.
no,
bro.
check that. No, when you cut the grass, it's the hormones that are being released. Maybe not hormones. I'm
We
not
don't
a
know for
genius.
sure though that like
Well, it is because then plants start doing activity to do this and
to
one-
like
yeah.
probably start like cell regrowth around the cut areas maybe.
So what some of them will start doing is secrete toxins. Okay, that's one of them, or they'll start. There's one really interesting one where there's some caterpillar. I think it was the tobacco plant. Because first of all, the tobacco plant has the first defense where it has nicotine, right? And the reason why they have nicotine actually is because anything that eats it, it hates it. It hates nicotine.
Except humans.
Except
Here it
humans.
is. Here it is.
We effing smoke it.
It says, so I found this website. It says, when attacked, plants release airborne chemical compounds. Now, scientists say plants can use these compounds almost like language, notifying nearby creatures who can rescue them
Yes.
from insect attacks.
Okay, I remember this now.
A
So
group of German scientists studying
What
wild
is this?
tobacco plant noticed that the compounds it released,
Mhm, mhm.
called green leaf volatiles or GLVs, were very specific. When the plants were infested by caterpillars, the plants released a distressed GLV that attracted predatory bugs who like to eat the caterpillars in
Yes.
question. What the heck?
Okay, this is what we learned about in
That's
class.
fascinating.
There's certain so like these caterpillars. I think it's talking about maybe it's we learned about tobacco plants.
Let's talk about plant equality.
Well,
Plant rights.
I'll just finish this real quick.
go ahead and say
Sorry,
what you're
sorry.
gonna
The
say.
Go ahead.
caterpillar, they have like these special little buds that they grow for specifically for this caterpillar, where the caterpillar loves to eat them, and every time they eat them, what happens is it puts a hormone on the caterpillar, and when the caterpillar leaves, that hormone specifically targets wasps, and wasps love that smell. So then, whenever the caterpillar leaves, that a bunch of wasps are gonna attack that caterpillar now, because they love that smell, and then they also love caterpillars.
Interesting.
They're attracted, and they know that it's going to be a caterpillar.
You know, when we talk about this stuff like gene editing, I think that's what the future is going to be like, is making us more like plants and stuff. Like this stuff that we're talking about, all the airborne chemicals that it releases to protect itself and attract more predatory entities to attack what's attacking it.
Well, don't we kind of already do that on some level?
Have you heard about?
I guess
how, like,
we do. We have a different way of
hormones.
communicating.
We have
But I'm
hormones.
saying I think that the genetic makeup of humans, as we do pursue this genetic modification stuff, it's going to get like more like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, yeah, I can call you up if I'm in trouble. I can call you up and say, "Yo, I'm in trouble. I need you to help." But what if I could release a chemical from my skin and you could smell that chemical? Not that the human nose could. Let's say if we were in the same room and
Okay.
I felt threatened, and I could release a chemical, or naturally maybe if I was stressed, I would release a chemical. You could smell it, and you could smell it, and you'd be like, "Oh, he's stressed."
Yeah. Have you heard about the? What about this though? Dogs. Have you heard about how dogs can sense a lot of different stuff like that in humans?
Oh,
like
Like
therapy dogs and stuff. Like if you're
that,
stressed or
And they know if you're stressed. They can sense like cancer and stuff like that. And you haven't heard about this, dude? It's great. There's like been dogs who like can predict cancer.
what?
Yeah, before like doctors can. Like they find the cancer before the.
I always thought it was interesting because this is kind of like have you ever heard of like how animals always know when bad weather is coming or something bad
Yeah.
is coming
Dude,
up.
here's what I think. Here's what I think about the dogs. At least just the dogs. Imagine how advantageous it was for wolves to know everything that the humans were gonna do. Like,
Oh God, yeah.
because the humans didn't fully trust. Like, it was still like this early on. It was like this, sort of.
Safe distance, probably.
Yeah, because the wolves would protect and alert humans when like other outside danger was near,
Yeah.
because they would get alerted and
Of course, they still have their instincts.
and the humans would like feed them meat and stuff and the bond developed over thousands of years. But those wolves like must have just evolved to like specifically like know what's going on with a human, like to a level that humans can't even.
I guess
and that got passed
evolutionary
down-
training.
Yeah, it's some crazy thing that, and I guess it got passed down into the dogs, which is.
Going back to what you said, I was kind of surprised about that. Just looked it up. It's a real thing.
Yeah, dude.
Holy crap.
I don't have sources, but I have stuff that
So-
might be cool.
There's this article, and so there's this dog named Lucy, and she's a cross between a Labrador Retriever and an Irish Water Spaniel. I don't know what an Irish Water Spaniel looks like. Have you ever seen one?
Well,
I have an English Springer
it's
Spaniel.
probably similar.
Yeah.
Maybe a little different though.
I guess they're good at swimming or something.
Probably.
It says right here, see if I can find it. So she tried the guide dog school and she failed at that. The dog did. And it said for 7 years, Lucy learned to sniff out bladder, kidney, and prostate cancer and was even used in a study. Over the years, she has been able to detect cancer correctly more than 95% of the time. That's better than some lab tests used to diagnose cancer. Now Lucy is part of one of the largest clinical trials of canine cancer detection. A British organization, Medical Detection dogs has 8 dogs sniff out 3,000 urine samples from National Health Service patients to see whether they can discern who has cancer and who doesn't. That's
Yeah,
insane.
How?
My
What signal is that? What's the dog do?
Well, I think since my theory, when I first read it, I was like, okay, if you know someone who has cancer, you can use them as kind of a test and say, okay, take a urine sample from 8 people who have cancer, and then take a urine sample from 8 people who do not have cancer, and then you have the dog sniff all 8 and say, okay, look, these 8. That's what you're looking for. You can train the dog, to react to certain smells and stuff. That's how they train the police dogs to sniff out drugs, right?
Yeah.
It could be the same process as how they train these dogs, maybe.
I
Because
guess
their
you're right.
noses are so sensitive,
Yeah.
and maybe there's some kind of
yeah.
smell that's associated
That
with
we
cancer
just-
somehow.
You get them to know that signal
Maybe.
is they react on that signal or whatever they get from.
Right.
Yeah.
But-
That's insane.
Yeah, that's
So it's kind of like an evolutionary training.
But then
of
how do
some
you even
sort.
know that? How'd you even figure that out? Well, what did the dog do for them to realize
I think
that?
dogs.
I don't know.
Dogs just act different. So I always heard stories. My grandma used to tell me about like a dog changing its behavior once like someone got sick.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
or what about
um,
with infants?
with infants, yeah. So like with people getting sick, it's like say a dog and a man were really close. It's like an older man and he like was healthy and eventually he wasn't healthy because he got older. Maybe he got some sort of disease, cancer or something. And the dog's like entire mood changed and was like way more protective of this person. And like I've heard stories of like that, and it's I don't know, dude. The relationship between humans and dogs is crazy.
It is.
Did y'all see the movie Alpha?
No.
What about you, Spencer? See the movie Alpha?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so it's this movie that came out last year, 2018. It's basically about, I mean, it's obviously a historical fictional, oh, this may be how it could have happened kind of thing.
Right, or based on a true story.
It's like
thing.
the story between the first early human
Oh, okay.
and wolf that like teamed up.
Yeah.
Yeah. These are these people who they're like nomadic people out in just like in Europe somewhere, right? And basically this guy gets he's a pretty young guy and he gets separated from his group. And there's a wolf that gets injured. Like, I don't know if he gets attacked by wolves or something, and something crazy happens, and one gets injured. And he, like, takes care of it, like, feeds it. And then it ends up following him and, like, saving him, and then that's just how it all started. It's a pretty cool movie. If you're... I mean, it's obviously not.
Yeah, I mean, it's
We're just, it probably was much more... It wasn't just, like, one
Yeah,
thing like that, but...
yeah. I guess they did it for the film.
Yeah, but like at the end, like they find out that it's a female dog and she was pregnant, and so now he finally gets back to his tribe, and he has all these puppies, and so those puppies get, wolf puppies get raised
Yeah.
with humans, so they would be much more likely to.
What about have you seen some of these dudes, just people of like any other animal, like these, have you seen this dude who goes out literally in Africa and he'll just chill with lions?
I wouldn't say, I don't know if they're going out and chilling with wild lions in Africa.
They're on reserves.
Usually,
but that's still pretty wild.
Most lions are on reserve. Usually, when you see these videos, aren't they people who have like been with, like, trained with these lions their whole life?
Yeah.
Kind of deal?
Well, yeah, of course.
So it's not.
They've
they're not like walking up to random wild.
No.
lions.
Well, I'm not saying the lion is domesticated, but I feel like it
Yeah.
had to start off like that. Is what I'm saying.
Well, you always see these videos all over the internet. There's always some guy in Russia, like hanging out with a polar bear, or
Yeah.
some guy hanging out with a grizzly bear.
This guy for tiger.
The most recent one
Yeah.
I saw was it was like part of the Russian army, and they were in a tank, and this polar bear had his paws up on the tank, and this dude had like a whole fish he had in his hand. He was feeding like it was fish and like meat and stuff. He was just hanging out the tank like, oh, in arm's reach, the polar bear could easily just bite his arm off, but just throwing meat into his mouth. And
Well, polar
That's
bears.
sketchy, but like even when people are like literally like, there's this guy, I was watching a video of this guy on the internet, and he like, I think he raised this polar bear like in some sort of rescue facility.
oh, is this the one where he like
He's swimming with the
swimming
polar bear
in his
dude.
pool in his backyard or
He's
whatever?
freaking huge, dude.
Oh, is that the one where the wife? Yeah, I think you told us about this. The wife was like, or the polar bear would get jealous of the wife or something.
Yeah. The wife could not come outside and hang out with him.
Well, here's the
'cause the
scary
polar bear
part.
it would get mad.
Polar bears are one of the only predators that actively seek out to eat human
Oh
beings.
yeah, dude.
Because they're in the Arctic. They'll eat anything because they need energy.
They're savages.
Yeah, because they don't have a lot of food, so whatever they find, they're gonna eat it.
You don't want to get attacked by. You don't want to get
Anything.
attacked by wild animals.
Anything.
Any sort of wild.
Yeah, no.
I don't want to get confronted by a spider or a freaking grizzly bear or anything in between,
Do you see the
or a shark.
you see that trending video?
Or a
while,
human.
Maybe it was a couple weeks ago, where this guy talks about his account of being mauled, or he was attacked by a mountain lion.
The guy in out in California, the jogger.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Did you hear what he had to do? The
Yes.
mountain lion was grabbing on his hand, and he had to put his foot on the neck and literally suffocate it while it
Yeah.
was holding onto his hand.
Dude, people get attacked very often out in California
I ain't going.
by mountain lions, dude. And when you're talking about a mountain lion, you're talking about literally.
Well,
like that's a different kind of killer.
Do you hear what
a
he said?
Big cat.
He said the scariest thing was when the moment he saw it,
Oh yeah.
there was just silence, and then it just sprinted.
Oh my god.
Come
it's
here.
like-
Could you? That
I
probably
can't imagine.
just
It's like
F the
that
audio
scene
right
from
there.
Get Out. that-
Oh my god!
Where the guy just
But
turns.
even
starts-
worse, because
It's like he turns a 90-degree angle and just starts running in like geometric patterns.
But-
this
imagine-
is an animal built to sprint and just kill instantly, and this is just like a dart probably.
There was one before that guy where
Wild.
it jumped like from a high up like hill on top of somebody, and I
my.
think that one actually killed the person.
I think that was the one where maybe. Oh, I think Spencer, you told me this, but it was grabbed his head, and the wife was there. Never mind. I think this was someone else telling me this, but it was grabbed on his head, and the wife had a pencil and was stabbing at this effing like the eye, and it wouldn't even let go. And it wasn't until like somehow something happened where the wife was yelling super loud, and that's when it dropped. Because it's so weird. It's so
Reacted
weird
to,
how like
like,
the
the human-
intimidation factor was overruled the pain factor.
Look up this picture. There's a cool picture.
Okay.
Just type in like the Hollywood cougar or the Hollywood mountain lion. There's this like massive mountain lion that like has been documented, like hangs out in the mountains near like the Hollywood sign.
Oh my god!
Like in Hollywood, it's like, and when you see this thing, it's at night. You see it just like chilling, bro. Look at that picture.
Here, I'm gonna play.
Well, have you ever gone to a zoo and seen one of these?
You know, I haven't been to a zoo in a long time.
They have one over in. I don't know. They have one in our nearby zoo.
Yeah.
And
I want to go back. I've heard they've done a lot of new stuff.
When
My
you-
parents went to Chicago quite recently, and
oh, they have.
the Chicago. And
Oh
it's
my.
kind of crazy to.
That's really rare in zoos.
It is.
Right, and like
Chilling.
Well, it's probably like
the,
freaking.
the deepness of the roar, like the low tones.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like, especially especially when
That probably gets into your like primal instincts. You hear something like that,
Oh
you're just
my
like, oh
God.
no.
Yeah,
Look at this, Ryan. Look at this thing just chilling near the Hollywood sign.
That's crazy.
Wait, can you zoom in?
Look at the muscles
Yeah, that's what I want to look
on
at.
the legs of this animal,
I'll try to zoom in.
Can you like click on the
Okay.
picture alone?
or like on Google Images, maybe. Yeah, there you go.
Dang.
Hold on, I'll catch it. I got a weird formatting issue.
Dude, I wish I had this picture. I showed Spencer this. Do you remember when I showed you the jaguar with the food, Spencer?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think I can find this again. I'll try and see if I can. But this jaguar, I've never like actually like been chilled at looking at a predator as much as this picture was.
Oh, really?
It was a jaguar in the water and it had meat, and it was this dude taking a picture. And have you ever seen like, you know, like how the South Americans depict like jaguar, like the faces, like how it's like super like demonic,
Yeah.
almost like
Yeah.
it was. I get it now. Like it was exactly like this picture, and I'll see if I can find it real quick.
Yeah, but the picture of the Hollywood mountain lion, I think it has a collar on it, so I think it's part of like a tracking program.
Check that one out. It's a jaguar showing his teeth. That's
yeah,
crazy.
dude.
There's one about the eyes, about this one where it was like literally like you could see the white of their eyes because you really can't.
Here's the thing about cats. The difference.
Look underwater.
Oh, the underwater one.
Oh, I've seen that one.
The difference between cats and dogs is, and I don't. Again, I'm not. I don't.
Oh, here it is. Yes,
Yeah,
dude.
dude.
Yes. That scares me.
Just yeah, that should scare you. Look at the one on the far right there.
Oh,
That
It looks like a demon.
yes.
black.
Dude,
Can't really see
imagine,
its eyes.
imagine living in South America, you know, in like the tribal era, and you're just, you know, getting your daily supply of food in the water. Turn around, and see that. How?
Yeah.
No wonder. No wonder they thought they were
freaking
demons.
tigers. They hunt people in India. They'll come down into the villages.
Yeah.
And they got all those like that tall grass. They just sneak up in there.
my-
Oh my gosh! Imagine you're like working the field.
Imagine having
You don't
to actually
know.
consider.
You don't even know if there's a freaking tiger. Look.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's looking like
Imagine
that,
having
but-
to actually consider wildlife as a problem.
Yeah.
I mean,
The worst thing we have to fear in like normal U.S. is like
Car crash.
hitting a deer.
Oh, that wildlife.
Yeah.
Maybe
In
you
your
might have to
car.
worry about a bobcat, coyotes, maybe.
Yeah, mountain lions. I mean, obviously people get attacked by stuff, but
Think about Australia.
well,
It's one of the craziest places, probably.
I want to go there, man. But they have a lot of stuff that'll kill you.
That's one of the one places in the world where there's no light pollution. If you go far out enough.
Well, there's places in the U.S., but I'm sure it's to the extreme there, yeah. But you have to go so far out to get to those places. Animals. Have you? Speaking of jaguars, that's awesome.
You ever heard a cheetah?
We're watching a video of a cheetah chase down its prey.
You ever heard a cheetah actually like
Purr?
not even like purr, like roar? Like I don't know.
They
It's not
don't
even a
really
roar.
roar. They do like.
It sounds like a cat. It sounds exactly like a cat.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen the most recent Planet Earth series, like Planet Earth 2?
No.
Is that the one on Netflix?
I
Yeah,
want
it's on
to.
Netflix. Y'all should watch it.
Yeah, I've seen.
Although they do try to get you to save the planet at the end of each episode, but I can deal with that for the beautiful imagery.
Yeah.
There's a part that I've watched like 2 or 3 times. It's probably the coolest part to me. There's I think it's on the Amazon, on the river. So there's these jaguars, right? Again, horrible memory. I don't know exactly where they are, but there's this one section of the river where it's like super overpopulated with like crocodiles,
Oh my.
like caiman, and capybara too.
Yeah.
Normally, like one jaguar in most parts of the world, in South America and and even in like Florida and stuff, one jaguar has like a huge area and they're super rare, and you can't even film them really for these kinds of videos because they're so rare. Yeah. Well, on this stretch of, you can probably type it in if you want, Spencer. It's probably on YouTube. In this stretch of the river, there's literally one every like, I don't know if it's like every 10 miles or every like couple miles, there's a jaguar who's like staked out that area for its hunting grounds. So there's like, they could film it a lot because there were so many. And this freaking jaguar, he just freaking dive bombs out into the river on top of an alligator and then just drags it back up the hill.
Oh, I think I have seen that.
And kills it.
We got the video here.
It's
maybe not.
It's so cool.
What? Blue Planet is probably one of my favorite series. Just for
Well, have you watched Blue Planet 2?
I haven't watched all of it.
Yeah, dude.
Dude, I know. But one of the episodes I watched, I thought was just so like I didn't. It was just it amazed me because like it was when they're bottlenose dolphins and there's another group of I don't know, some other type of sea mammal that was the kind of close to what are those, like kind of whitish beluga, close to that, but it wasn't that.
Yeah.
And the other ones, not the bottlenose, but the other ones were a lot more predatory to even bottlenose, I think.
Yeah,
and when they met, it was coming off as like they were going to attack the bottlenose dolphins, and then when they met up, there was like an instance where you could see them like notice, and then turns out they've seen each other before apparently.
Yeah, that was actually on the newer Blue Planet. How'd you see that?
How did I see that?
Didn't you say you didn't watch Blue Planet?
No, I haven't watched all of it. I've watched some of it.
Okay, yeah.
But
yeah, dude.
And then they started traveling together in a herd and eating, and going toward the same migration routes and eating on the same packs of tuna. I thought that was
they
crazy.
Like worked together. Yeah,
that was crazy. Or what about the fish that could use like another shell as a tool?
Yes, the trophy fish. Is that what it's? No,
I don't know. It had a bulging head.
Yeah, and it has like the almost human-like teeth.
Yes, it would grab a shell and would go back and it would hit it. That was insane.
Yeah, that's what people always say.
And that's just a fish too. A fish is like one of the most primordial. Primordial. I don't think that's a word. That's something else.
Primal.
Yeah, primal. Oh my god.
Yeah, I don't even know. This is not even the same footage. This must not be from it. But
we're watching
the same stuff.
This jaguar in the water. It has his jaws.
And a caiman.
Jaws holding a caiman's jaws open. That's what's happening.
He's in the domain of the alligator right now.
Yeah,
of the
right.
crocodile.
Probably one of the
You only
scariest
see,
environments.
like the
He doesn't
tip of
care.
his head.
He doesn't care. He's
He's
so
coming
much.
out now. Oh.
He's so much stronger that he's just gonna drag it right out of the water.
Look at those eyes, though. Just complete kill mode.
And that's a dinosaur right there that he's just, seriously
Oh,
don't care.
yeah.
He'll just drag you right up this hill and just chew on you.
Hey,
And they had to slow it down frame by frame because it was so quick getting into the water. It came out of the trees. Here, I'll rewind it.
The actual footage from Planet Earth.
oh my god. Did you see
right
that?
here. Look at this. Like, yeah, that.
You literally don't see him.
Yeah.
And then, bam, he's out of the trees.
Wait, go back. I want to see that when he like. Oh my
So
god.
he just.
It's like a ghost. Like, he just appears
You know how
for a couple frames, and then he's in the water.
He probably snuck through those trees for like an hour to get that
Dude,
close.
that's what's crazy about them.
And
is
for
the
about, like,
because he
determination.
knew that caiman was just chilling, like sunbathing.
For about like 10 seconds there, they were completely submerged. He was completely underwater. The jaguar was.
Same thing with a gator though, or one of these like what are they, caiman? Have you seen them like when they're attacking?
Oh yeah.
You cannot see them
Because
at all.
they don't have to be that far into the water, and they just freaking wham, pop right out.
Kind of like the killer whales eating a seal, like off the beach or something.
Yeah.
Like they just pop
And
up
like
and
the reaction times of the animals that these crocodiles are like trying to kill are so fast. Like, have you seen the ones where they'll like dodge it?
which one?
Who, the
It'll-
caiman?
No, it'll be like a crocodile. You know, it's like at the edge of like a water
Oh,
hole.
and then the animal
The
dodges
animal's just standing there, and then this just all of a sudden whoosh, and like the crocodile comes out, but that animal
You've ever
is
seen-
so
it.
fast.
Yeah, you've seen the gazelle?
That is
Like,
just wham.
there's like a gazelle that jumps,
and
yeah.
it misses it. Do you know how dead we would be if that thing just
Oh,
popped out?
for
We have-
sure,
Our
for
reaction
sure.
time is so slow. Like we would.
Well, because we have to analyze situation always. To them, it's just like if
That-
something's
well-
gonna jump at me, that's like their natural
Survival,
instincts.
bro.
Yeah. Oh my god.
We're going down an animal route.
Oh yeah, we are.
Killer
but
whales.
I
Look at
think
the
it's
seal.
super
Look at the
interesting.
seal right here.
Killer whales.
He's swimming in like little shallow water.
Oh, dude. Killer whales. Just
Look
Killer
how
whale
it
just
grabs and
It
Just-
just completely breaches
He
onto
just
the beach.
jacked it.
but look how it's like literally mauling it, where it's throwing it around to disorient it. Look.
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
Look how big it is.
It like slides itself up on the beach. It doesn't even care if it gets beached.
It
don't care.
It knows it's strong
It's only
enough.
thinking one thing.
It knows it's strong enough to get back.
The thing about the killer whale is like when you see their the fin that sticks out of the water, it sometimes you'll see them where they're at a complete maximum bend, like they're not straight up in the air. You know, like a shark. You know, you see a shark and that's straight, or a dolphin.
Yeah.
But I guess the killer whale's fin, top fin, you see how it's bending? It's super flexible.
Yeah.
I've always wondered about that. And you'll see like
It'll be bent all the way.
Well, it's just
Almost all
it's
the way over.
flopping.
Why does it do that?
I don't know.
Oh,
I guess it's longer and they have like it's an actual more of a muscle than like
Do you
sharks or
effing
dolphins
see
have.
that? Do you see that? It just threw a seal.
Yeah, it just kicked it up in the air. Yeah. I think they're just playing with it at this point.
Those are one of the only animals that kill for sport.
Polar bear versus walrus colony.
Uh,
The walruses,
I've seen that.
these.
That's from Planet Earth.
Gotta watch our good old ad.
I'm sure this
Get
is.
our brainwashing in
Oh,
for
we're
the
just
day.
we're just reviewing animal
Yeah,
videos now.
Yeah, we've gone
Anyway,
off.
let's-
Yeah,
well, I still like talking about
oh, I do
different
too.
animals.
I
So,
just
We can just have a couple of videos
Have you ever,
right in the background, but
you know what's crazy to think about? How the sizes of all these animals have changed throughout time.
how like all the giant.
Yeah, like there used to be literally
Well, all except
Okay.
one. All except one.
the arthropods.
Bigfoot.
Wow.
He's still out there.
or
Of course,
like the blue,
let's
like
not
the
forget.
blue whale,
The blue whale.
the
Yeah.
largest mammal on Earth. Like that's as close as you can get to
Let's not forget
a
that there's
sea dinosaur or the Loch Ness monster.
Bro.
You know what's effed about the whale?
Sharks though. That's a sea dinosaur.
Yeah, for sure.
Bro,
Oh, yeah.
sharks. Well, as far as time goes, like a blue whale is a mammal, like you said, so it's a much more recent animal than a shark.
I guess so.
What do you mean? You guess so?
It is.
Sharks are millions and millions of years.
Well,
old.
the species may be different, but the shark itself is very old.
Wait, we're saying.
but like a
hold
blue
on,
whale
hold on.
is a mammal, and mammals are much more recent.
Yeah, that's what's effed about the whale is that the whale became a mammal,
Hold
came
up,
on
hold
the
up.
land, and then decided to go back.
Hold up. So how do we know that mammals are more recent?
because
I'm
fish
confused.
have always been in the water.
Well,
that's where life started.
If you're going by evolution,
Well, just
Then-
go by whatever the general consensus of the
Well,
population is.
so
like,
here's
like
something.
how do we know? I never knew that.
I think okay.
Why are mammals more recent? I don't.
Because
fact check me.
in an evolutionary
Okay, I'm looking
chain,
this up.
they
Okay.
came after.
I think sharks may some form of shark may have, they're probably so okay. Sharks don't have a skeleton. First of all, okay.
A
There's
shark is the perfected predator in water. It's the perfected.
That could be debatable. Squids.
Okay, I didn't say that there weren't other good ones, but I'm saying like the perfect.
Maybe mobility. Oh yeah, squids are pretty fast too. I don't know.
Yeah, but
Anyways, I know what you're saying.
yeah. So, if we're saying that life started around a thermal vent in
Yeah.
hundreds of miles below the ocean, they would say basically evolution starts happening in the ocean, and we get all these different species. What I don't know is where like arthropods start between fish. Like, where does that happen?
It looks like they determine all of this based on fossils.
Well, yeah. I mean,
they have to.
Yeah.
But we can get into some of the assumption theory that goes on in today's modern science
you just
when talking
can't-
about dates.
Coincidentally, I'm actually learning about marine life right now in Bio 2. And the beginning, like the first couple of phylums that emerged from marine life, besides like all the Cambrian era, which is like, if you ever look at pictures of that,
wild stuff.
that looks like literally aliens. It's like, how do we ever come from that?
Is that the era of like
That's
the
like
horseshoe crab kind of, or
it kind of looks
crab.
like that. Which
That
that's
kinda
also
stuff.
really cool too. Is the horseshoe?
but they were like giant ones, right?
I don't think. Well,
Well, maybe not necessarily horseshoe crabs, but giant arthropodic.
No, I don't.
Like,
Oh,
yeah.
well, arthropods are.
when I say I don't know what I'm
Arthropod
talking
stands
about.
for it. Yeah, it's okay.
I'm talking about like
I probably don't much.
crustacean style
So crustacea are
insects in the water.
Crustacea are arthropods actually.
Okay,
But
so-
what arthropods means is literally jointed legs. So it's they
Yeah,
have-
see,
they
I
have
searched
legs.
that, and it's like centipedes and stuff pops up.
Yeah. So what arthropods
I don't know if I
consist
spelled
of-
that
Type
right.
in the Cambrian era.
Arthropods are arachnids, hexapoda, which is insects, basically. And then there's actually a whole different class for the meristomata, which is the horseshoe crabs, because they're so old that they have their own.
Oh wow.
The horseshoe crabs are actually one of the oldest species of animals to still be on the surface. They evolved and then they didn't need to anymore. They were fine. They're fine.
Yeah, right. I mean,
That's what's crazy. Fun fact about them: they have blue blood, and we use them for a lot of stuff in medicine.
And it's super
Really?
They're blood.
expensive.
They're
Super
blood.
expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I studied that a couple years back, and it's kind of crazy how much, like you said, medicine comes from their blood.
Oh yes.
and it's
yes.
like we've been trying to like remake the chemical compound of their blood, but I guess we can't really
no.
perfectly.
We can.
Like,
Apparently,
perfectly?
this is what I've been told at least. That we're not. It's not perfect, right? You're right. But the point is that what's happening is we're taking all these horseshoe crabs out, and we're taking their blood and we're putting back in the water, and we think that they're okay. But really, what happens is they die off from due to stress.
What's
basically.
it called? Arthropod blood?
Look up Limulus polyphemus with a ph phemus, and then blood.
we're getting into the weeds here. What I find,
Atlantic horseshoe crab blood.
It's blue.
and it has medicine. It's used for medicine. Like
It's
what?
used for medicine.
What kind of medicine?
I don't know.
All kinds?
I couldn't tell you.
Lime-
It's used for so much in medicine apparently. though.
Limus
That's crazy.
acetylite
Limulus
lysate.
amoebocyte
Do you-
ligate
Bold
lysate
statement.
lysate.
Bold statement time. Do you think that it works in so many medicinal purposes because it's such
evolved.
an original ancestor of
Because it
every?
survived.
No,
it
it has
survived
some-
the longest, I guess, right?
It has some kind of particular enzyme, something like that. I couldn't tell you. Maybe it's a
Don't we
protein.
get the same? Like we
Well, I guess-
take certain
never mind.
samples from cockroaches, and because they're so resilient, we study it and apply it to medicine or something.
Yeah, same thing with like. Now they're
I
trying
don't know
to.
if that's
They're
factoid.
trying to
or
apply the cells, the particular type of cells in the like jellyfish.
Um,
not. Okay, here's
that-
sorry to interrupt you, but
Yeah.
it says a synthetic substitute to the blue horseshoe crab blood has been developed since 2003.
yeah.
Wow.
People just don't want to switch
It's been
to it.
commercially available.
Yeah.
Huh.
Or apparently, like killing off like the ones that we take out of the water and take their blood. Like 70% of them die when we put them back.
Huh. I never even heard of this.
Yeah,
It was
it's crazy.
only listed as an accepted bacterial toxin test since 2016. So it's actually, they said that the use of it, the synthetic, the change was slow, but in 2016 they actually listed as an accepted kind of method, as an accepted bacterial toxin test.
That's.
I don't know.
There's a
But why-
Wikipedia science.
there's
is
some
sometimes crazy.
I forgot what it's called. It starts with a T, and there's some like microscopic animal that's even more crazier, more resilient. It's like probably the most resilient animal.
It's the one that looks like it has a spacesuit on and can survive space.
Yeah, it can survive space.
Has
it can
a
survive,
spacesuit on?
It doesn't. It looks like it has a spacesuit on. It's really like
Microscopic.
it's like 6 legs and it looks like the Stay Puft Marshmallow that was like
There it
a
is.
centipede.
Oh.
I forgot what they're called. Can you find what
is,
they're?
Yeah, I'm looking
It
at it.
starts with a T.
That's disturbing.
Well, they can survive space. They can survive the coldest of temperature. Well,
So
space.
is that one of them?
They can survive nuclear blast.
Can they survive thermal vents?
They'll probably outlive us. Oh yeah.
So
And actually,
there's the most likely something like that's living on a different planet, or
yeah. Okay. Actually, this is what theorized.
Europa
Someone theorized that maybe this thing came here by asteroid.
from another planet.
Yeah.
Why couldn't it start here though?
Yeah, that's also the same reason. But it's
Maybe- maybe
but it's, the idea is that it's
Maybe
been
it has left this planet.
maybe I don't know how it would though. How would it leave this planet?
How would it leave a different planet? Through asteroidal impact.
Maybe the planet
We've
got
been hit by
crushed.
asteroids plenty of times. Big chunks fly off, and one of those guys is hanging on there.
But what asteroids are hitting us now? That I guess
not
in the past.
now.
Past. Okay. Yeah. I see what you're saying.
Did you hear about this? This is getting.
But they're saying that the reason why this might have come out from a different planet is this thing has been so evolved that how did it come from our planet? How they feel like
Yeah, I
it
don't
should have
know.
taken way longer for it to evolve to this point. That's the idea.
Did you hear about? Speaking of asteroids, did you hear about the new discovery? There's an asteroid that they've newly discovered around that apparently hit around 10 to 12,000 years ago, like at the end of the last ice age.
No. I don't know.
Yeah. So, have you heard of Graham Hancock, the guy who
Mm-mm.
he theorizes about basically a lot of his stuff revolves around the last ice age and how and what like humans were doing during that time. Some people go even farther like into like there was civilization then that we don't know about yet. Like they think that ancient Egypt was actually already going. Like the Sphinx was around
What?
before
that-
the last
during
ice
Ice Age?
age.
That might explain. Actually, remember the on the Joe Rogan podcast, the
That's
dude
what,
talking
yeah,
about.
that's where I'm. Yeah,
Yeah.
Graham Hancock is one of those guys,
Oh,
and
okay.
they recently found a new crater that's like some crazy amount wide, but it's all under glaciers right now. But they say that that could have been part of this major event that ended the ice age, 12,000 years ago. It's crazy stuff. I don't know how you're supposed to speculate about stuff that's so old like that.
How do you even? Yeah, that's
It's
crazy.
I don't know. It's some crazy science. I don't know.
Well, a lot of it is assumption-backed theory,
Mm-hmm.
in my opinion.
Well-
This whole dating thing, the assumption that the radioactive carbon isotope decay has been the same for however many umpteen million years.
Yeah, I
That's
don't
an
know.
assumption on my
I don't know about that.
when I'm and that's how they do carbon dating. And so I actually asked one of my mentors about this, who has a PhD in biology, and then I asked another person that had a PhD in chemistry, and they both told me the same thing. It's like I said, well, aren't we assuming they started talking about carbon dating, and I said, well, isn't it just an assumption that the decay of the carbon, whatever the carbon 12 or whatever isotope it is, has been the same millions of years? And they basically said, yeah, it's an assumption, and but
Why would it change?
why wouldn't it change?
It sounds like a law of the universe, right? I mean, it's
Well, that's where it gets touchy for me, because define a law as in
Constant?
the past 1,000 years that we've observed.
that we've observed.
Yeah,
Laws that we know are true.
right. I'm saying we only know if something is true if we have observed it, and from a scientific perspective. And for instance, temperature is a good example. We've only been accurately recording temperature since 1850. And so anything before that is an assumption. There's several writings that kind of describe the climate, old writings, but accurately recording actual data, temperature data, is a good example of how we can assume things that have happened in the past that we haven't observed. And anything that we haven't observed as a human race or human species is really just an assumption in the end.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, my question was, though, to my science I said, I don't believe that. I said, I don't believe that that for 100% that the radioactive isotope decay has been the same. Like, prove to me that it is.
Wouldn't
prove
it
to
be
me that it
you
isn't.
assuming that it's different?
Right. So we don't know.
Well,
is
yeah.
my.
Well,
But so what he said, he kind of critiqued my question. He said, "You said believe," and he said he kind of made, I can't remember exactly the words he used, but he kind of made a distinct kind of conclusion that says, when you believe something, that's different than, I guess he said that's different than observing something and then
Going through the scientific
method and kind of believing it in that retrospect. But belief, especially
that's
that
not
covers,
a good word for science.
It's too broad. Regardless, though, in my opinion, I always like to say that nothing is ever 100%.
Well, yeah.
In our perspective, I guess in some omniscient perspective, yes, it is. But
science is, when you're getting into that, is always going to be some sort of speculation. It's even worse for me and like us. It's because I have no idea what I'm talking about. So I'm just throwing out things from, stuff I've heard from scientists who knows if they're good scientists, if they're bad scientists.
And isn't it insane that you have
I'm
someone
just talking about it?
Like, okay, like you just claim that you don't know a lot about science, like, the details, I guess, right?
Right.
I think I like to know a little. I like to think that I know a little bit, but then take someone who has a PhD in a specific science. Not attributing PhD to ultimate knowledge, but I can't even fathom some of the knowledge that these professors or doctors have, and the research that they've done. And even going back to people like Rontgen, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but the guy who basically discovered the X-ray waves, it's like you can't even comprehend, you can't even compare.
That's why they get offended sometimes.
Yeah, like studying someone's research and being the one who discovered it or invented something. That kind of segues off of that.
It's like what you say about this blood out of a horseshoe crab. How the heck did someone ever figure out that we can use? I mean,
I don't know.
It's kind of cool.
Well,
it probably had been used for a long time, I bet.
I don't know. I don't think it would, because the idea was that there's obviously something in their blood. It's either an enzyme, might have been like it's literally called limulus amoebocyte lysate. That amoebocyte, I think it might be that specifically that they're targeting.
Well, it's like, why have they been around for so long? Like, what has made them so resilient? Maybe that kind of prompted that.
What I know about amoebocytes is that they're pretty unique in that they can they can differentiate in cells, which means that throughout different cells they have different functions. They can switch those functions, and that's what's crazy about those. And so, I know that sponges do that. And then I guess these horseshoe crabs do it, and that's probably what evolutionarily has like driven them. I'm gonna guess. Claim wrong, probably. It's whatever.
Could be wrong. Could
it's all
be right.
Speculation.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. And Albert Einstein had it right when he said that it's all about perception. It's all about your perspective, rather.
I was gonna mention that earlier, being like, well, everyone used to think that time was constant. Wrong.
Well,
time is just a construct in the first place.
Right.
I watched
Doesn't
back.
even really
So
exist, or it does, but it doesn't at the same
speaking of
time.
time,
It kind of does.
I watched Back to the Future the other night for the first time.
Oh,
Like the
Yeah.
first one, the first
Wow.
The
movie.
first one, yeah.
Wow.
What a cool concept.
I haven't been a big fan of those movies,
I mean,
honestly. I mean, I've seen them, but they didn't impress me. I don't know.
I was never that interested.
Yeah.
I just got on this thing where I want to go down the IMDb top 250 list,
Mhm.
and I feel like I should watch all those movies, right? I should know, like, I want to expand my, because I'm a big movie person, and I want to work in the post-production sound industry, so I just want to always be watching movies for research purposes, right? And so that was the next one on the list, was Back to the Future, and I had never seen it,
Wow.
which is crazy. I mean,
so what'd you think?
I mean, it's just fun.
Yeah.
It's kind of a nostalgic feeling movie,
Especially since everybody talks about it like they
like
it's some connection with their childhood or something.
yeah.
Did you watch the,
That was kind of a diss on people
I don't know that it
who
deserves.
misappropriate their
I
ego
don't-
with movies.
I don't know that it deserves to be in the top 50 on IMDb's list.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, it's like number 44.
Yikes. Out of the 400 and something movies that I've
Probably
seen in
just
my life, I would.
It probably does because of
wouldn't
pop
rate it.
culture.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's all these
It's
these
cultural,
ratings are all
man.
voted by people. I usually go by IMDb's ratings more than Rotten Tomatoes. I like it better. But
I've never been one to go by.
when I say I
Ratings.
go by ratings, that doesn't mean that.
Like, you
always-
just use that as a watching list. Like, okay, let's watch all these and see how
Yeah.
well my opinion rates up with everybody else's.
Well, yeah, there's been movies like, there's been some that I'm just like,
Mm-hmm.
But there's been movies that I'd never heard of that I watched off of that list that are just great. And like, I never would have watched it if it wasn't for me attempting to go down the list.
Little segue here. Speaking of movies, a lot of the stuff that Netflix is doing, like a lot of their movie making, especially, I watched this movie the other night called Mine, M-I-N-E, and it's about this sniper team. I guess they were in Afghanistan. It's this sniper duo. He had a spotter and the sniper, and they had a target, and they were sitting up on this mountain, this like ridge, and not to spoil the whole movie, but long story short, they had to get out of there quick. They got spotted, and they're going through sandstorms and stuff, and they have to walk back to the base because their comm unit got destroyed. So it's like miles and miles. It's like, I can't remember, it's like 40 miles or something crazy. So they're walking through the desert, and then they come across a minefield, but they don't know it's not. So, and it ends up that the whole premise of the movie is that he steps on a mine and he hears it click, but he can't step off or it'll explode.
This is not a true story, is it? This is like a...
No, I'm pretty sure stuff like that has happened, but
Probably,
it's
yeah.
not.
So,
and I don't want to give the whole movie
I know,
away for
but
everybody's listening.
now I'm like, oh, well, what did he do then? It's like,
So I'll go ahead and say spoiler alert right now.
okay. Because I'm probably not going to watch it, but...
Yeah, and so basically what happens is his friend, they're walking, and the sniper, his spotter is kind of like goofing around or whatever. He's like, man, I could really use a beer right now. He's like, just banter.
Yeah.
He's walking backwards, and he's like, and then the dude's like, he kind of notices some things that are kind of weird, like footprints in the sand, like in weird directions, and he's like, this is weird. He's like, we should turn back, like, we should rethink this and walk slow and be careful. And then all of a sudden his partner gets blown up. And then he's like, holy crap. The dude takes another step and he hears the click.
I wouldn't take another step after that.
And
so if he releases it...
It's a pressure mine, right? I don't know if that's the right term, but like, yeah, if you put pressure, you have to release pressure and then it'll detonate.
Why would they not just do it?
Yeah, you think they'd do it the other way?
to where it just goes off.
And I'm sure that's how the mines actually work. That's what makes me think is that
Maybe not though,
maybe not.
because you wouldn't want it to be so like it just go off at any moment, like if a
Right.
freaking wind blew and it.
And so the whole concept, and he's sitting there, right? And
Or would you?
I mean, there's no pressure that would put it down.
Like,
and
there's a
then-
scene
and
in-
then
there's
hold
a-
it there.
bottom
There's a
line, we don't know how military equipment works.
No, we're
No,
just
whatever.
speculating.
It's
There's a scene in Rambo 3 where he takes his knife and he sticks it down into the sand because he knows there's a mine. He sees the
Yeah.
mine sticking up.
I remember that
And he like
scene.
fishes it out, and he's like being real violent with this mine, trying to get it out of there. I'm just like he doesn't. I guess he knows how it works, so he gets up under it and like picks it up and like scoops it out of the sand. But I'm
Well-
like, oh, don't touch it at all, because like
Or like put your knife under and put
Well, I
pressure
guess-
on the top while your foot is
when
out.
I think
and
of
then you can-
mines, I think of like if you touch anywhere near it, it's gonna go off.
I guess there's different types, but
Probably.
there are for
Yeah.
sure.
so what in this
What about
mo-
those countries where there's
Well,
what about those
go ahead.
countries where there's like still minefields from wars?
Like India.
Yeah,
Well, and that's what
dude.
they actually
That's-
mentioned
and
that
there's whole industries of them trying to remove them.
they
people get
mentioned that in
killed
the
all the
movie
time.
that they mentioned that movie like these mines can be active for like 7 years. And it's like
And then they probably can be active, but they
For
probably
more.
can go longer
Yeah.
than that. Yeah.
Yeah,
what if there's
for
any
20 or
way to
30.
like EMP it? You know what I mean?
well, they're mechanical, so there would be
Oh,
no
they
They're
are?
old,
yeah.
probably. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're probably
Dang.
analog.
Yeah, and I think even the newer mines today, they wouldn't be digital because there could be too much. Electricity is highly volatile in some ways, but
Are mines even that big of a thing though? Like I know like
IEDs,
IEDs
yeah.
are, but mines in the classic sense of when you think of a mine,
Probably the
I'm
same thing
sure- I
as a
guess they
grenade. You know
are.
what I mean? Is that what you're talking about? Like the damage they do?
No, I'm saying like, oh, we have a field of mines that you have to navigate your way. You know, like that. I guess maybe because we haven't.
maybe not a field, but there's probably definitely like someone in the road if they know a convoy's coming. I think
Well,
it's much
yeah.
more.
It's not really like a. I don't know.
I guess it's not feasible anymore to just plant a field of mines unless you're trying to protect a base or something.
because most of the modern wars that
like Fort Knox, like people
Been
speculate
involved
that
when-
field. There's the field across from Fort Knox.
Well, what
like you're
about-
at the road, and then you have a massive field with fences, like multiple layers of fences, and then you have Fort Knox itself. People say that there's like mines buried in there and stuff. But I was gonna say about the movie.
yeah.
That's like the least crazy part about it is that he steps on this mine. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and continue with this explanation because it gets wild. So he steps on the mine, and remember the terrorists with machine guns? He only has a sniper rifle. The terrorists for the machine guns are looking for him. So if the terrorists find him, it's not like he can just move out of the way, move into cover, move. He has to stay where he's at. So what ends up happening is first what ends up happening is he sees his partner, he sees the comm equipment, and he tries to radio in, and he lassos his boot, uses bootlaces to lasso his dead friend and like pull him to get the comm equipment. Interesting kind of side fact that I didn't mention before is that his friend, the mine blew up. It blew both of his legs off, but the dude was still alive, and he shot himself. So that got dark real quick.
Yeah.
But so this next like kind of minute here is going to be a major spoiler. But he contacts he was able to get the comms unit up and running. Contacts the commander or whatever at the comms base, and he says, "Yo, I'm stranded out here. I've stepped on a mine." And the commander's like, "Okay, we'll send someone out there as soon as we can get." He's like, "We have all of our units are like under fire or whatever," and he's saying that the helicopters are down by sandstorm, so it's gonna be. He said it's gonna be 72 hours. So this dude is sitting, and he has to like literally have the same amount of pressure on it, I guess.
Okay, but what's the plan for when people do come?
So there's this whole subplot where this guy comes up, and he and his kid dig up these mines and sell them for money. It's an abandoned minefield. And the main, like, the thick part of the plot is this dude says, just keep on moving. He's like, why? Okay, why are you not moving? And the dude's like, I'm stuck on a mine. I've stepped on a mine. And the dude's like, you just need to let go and keep on moving. He's like, and there's this whole moral aspect. It's kind of complicated to it. It's like he says, why are you here? He said, if you weren't okay with the fact that you were going to die out here, then why don't you just move on? And it was kind of,
well, that's that's
really
dumb.
know.
That's
Yeah.
dumb.
I didn't do a proper way of explaining it because it was much more complex than that.
Yeah.
But this dude is he's a weird dude, and he gives the soldier a hallucinogen drug, and he trips out, and he kind of like battles his personal demons in the desert. An
While
interesting
maintaining
scene
this
in that.
pressure on the mind.
Yeah, interesting scene in that is it turns night and dogs come out like wolves, like in the desert,
Yeah.
and they attack him, and he's like knifing them and stuff.
While he's still got the pressure
Yeah.
on the mind.
Yeah.
Huh.
And so,
This is
and then morning comes, and
interesting.
then he sees terrorists.
Mm.
These dudes come up with machine guns, and there's like 5 of them, right? And they start shooting at him. The AK-47s are super inaccurate, right? And he gets like shot or whatever. He pulls out his sniper rifle. He looks at a picture of his wife on his phone. It's so motivating that he just automatically gets the adrenaline to pull out his sniper rifle and just quick scope all of these dudes, right? So he gets out of that, right? And
True story.
he gets out of that, and then the SUV or he sees his people coming. Okay, before he sees his people coming, I'm gonna finish this out because I've started on a journey here.
Okay.
But it's almost over. So he's waiting, and he calls the commander one more time. He's like, "Yeah, it's gonna be another 12 hours tacked on to the 72," and so he's about dead, right? And I think if I remember correctly, he actually passes out or something, and so his foot goes off the mine.
And it doesn't go off,
And it doesn't go off,
of course.
and
He could have left a long time
he
ago.
dug and see what, and he was like, "What is this?"
Wasn't even a mine.
It wasn't even a mine. It was a tin can filled with army soldiers that okay, I forgot to mention something earlier. The dude's daughter, the people who are digging up mines, his daughter, would bury these like tin cans of soldiers where the mines were, just some symbolic representation of them.
Of people who got killed by
Right,
mines.
yeah.
Huh.
And so,
Because they didn't get a
and the
proper
dude
burial.
earlier, he mentioned, he was like, "Yep, the tin can, sounds exactly like a mine."
It's very convenient.
Right, exactly. So everything was for nothing.
This is a wild movie.
Yeah, I didn't explain it, and I missed a lot of stuff, but you kind of get the concept.
Sorta.
There's that mine
some
on
good
Netflix.
war-
Go watch it now.
There's
I
some
wonder-
good war movies out there I
Oh,
would recommend before.
yeah. This is like, I don't know. It
I mean,
was one of the lesser.
It's sort of interesting. Like
My-
the
what's your
concept
favorite?
the concept of a guy stuck on a mine who can't move is interesting, but
They didn't.
some of the stuff around that.
Being a Netflix film, they obviously had to overdo everything, and it made the movie not the production value quite low, in my opinion. Lone Survivor.
Well, when you first started describing it kind of reminded me of the Lone Survivor story. They have to kind of get out of there, and
Yeah, running up the mountain, and then, man, that is a movie that you have to think about for a few days after you watch it. Have you seen it, Ryan?
I read the book.
I have the book. I'm in the middle of reading it right now. It's good.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
just
a good book.
tales
it's a good
of
story. Yeah.
tales of American soldiers. Sometimes I guess they're probably sometimes Hollywoodized and I don't know. It's like a heroic kind of thing. But they're just great movies. I mean, there just are some great movies.
Right. I know Lone
especially
Survivor's
recently, American Sniper.
Hey, did you see 12 Strong?
No, but I do want to see that one.
Okay, I'm gonna compare it to Lone Survivor. I think Lone Survivor is the end all in terms of realism. In terms of Hollywood movies. And American Sniper's up there. But
The thing about American Sniper is it's so simple. It doesn't try to over dramatize things really.
Mhm.
It just kind of shows you the story of what this guy did, Chris Kyle.
right. And the thing about it is Lone Survivor wasn't even. Now that I'm reading the book, I mean, it was dramatized, and there were some events that were cut out, obviously.
Well, yeah, they had to
for a movie's sake, but it was
There's a lot more detail in the
yeah.
book. Yeah.
But it's kind of crazy how close to the story it actually was.
It's a crazy story. So
And it is a crazy
don't
story.
even-
you
you don't
mentioned
even
simplicity, but this
you don't have
operation,
to Hollywoodize that one. That's just
Right.
that story is crazy. Marcus Luttrell, by the way.
Yeah, that's his name. Yeah, I've seen him. I saw him speak at something, some convention somewhere, and like
In
you just
person,
look.
you went to the game?
No.
Oh,
I saw a video, and
yeah,
man, the stuff that guy's went through,
yeah.
it's crazy.
And he lost all his guys.
He was the only one living.
He lost everyone.
It's crazy.
Even the people who tried to come rescue him in the helicopter.
Right, that Chinook
They
that
shot
came
it down.
RPG right through the middle. It's crazy.
Bunch of seals and other
Right.
stuff. Just
But so this movie 12 Strong, it's in terms of realism, I feel like it's not as high. It's definitely cheesier. And I say that because like towards the end, they're riding. They start riding on these horses, and they're riding, and it's like all slow mo. And he's like, "Doof, doof, doof," and like they're getting shot at by like 100 guys, but
Yeah.
obviously this one dude doesn't get scathed. I feel like Brad Pitt's in it.
I know Chris Hemsworth is in there.
Yeah, Chris Hemsworth.
Thor's in there.
Yeah, Thor.
Thor's up in there fighting
For some
them
reason,
Taliban's.
uh,
I don't know.
yeah, Chris Hemsworth.
But they have to escape on horseback.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's intense.
and so, but that was the only scene that I was like, okay,
But it's based on a true story too, right?
right.
Yeah.
And a lot of they had to interact with the warlord and previous warlord, and it was kind of like a warlord against warlord type of thing.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, so, but that was a great movie. Highly recommend
It's
it.
on my list of. I have a massive list of movies to watch.
How many movies do you think you've seen?
Well, I'm recently started cataloging this.
Yeah? Are you using an app to do it? I have this phone app.
No,
and
right now
it makes
I'm
it
just
super easy.
Right now I'm just I need to get, what is it called? Because I need to get.
It's Letterbox D.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm
I've
probably
cataloged about almost 500.
500.
Mhm.
Jeez. Well,
We still know how many movies you watch.
yeah, I'm never gonna be able to think of. I doubt I'll be able to think of 500 movies. I've
They
seen.
got to make it easy because they have like you can scroll through like endless lists of movies.
And like, think about if I added all like every Scooby Doo movie I watched as a kid, I'd be to 500 quick.
Oh yeah, and the only thing that you have to watch is like the TV shows on there. It's some like I wish you could just add an entire TV show or an entire season, but
Is it like episode by episode?
some of it is.
That's dumb.
Some of it is, but and in others it'll say like entire season or entire.
You should be able to click
There's
episodes
different
or the whole
catalogs.
TV series.
And I think that's the way it is. But I'll
Oh.
come up with a. I'll be trying to just do this in my free time, and I won't take the time to. I'll see an episode of a Burn Notice, and I'll be like, I watched all Burn Notice. I'll click that, and I'll do it later. Go back and do it later, just kind of for the convenience. But
Well, I was gonna do it. My phone died.
logistically, wow,
Dang.
it's the hardship of the 21st century.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's not like
Well,
we have
I had-
TRS-80s in the
This is crazy.
PSR, Radio Shack, Tandy Radio Shack.
I got really mad at my phone, right? So I had I keep a lot of notes, like in the notes on like an iPhone, like the notes.
Do you
app.
sync it up with the cloud? Like the Apple Cloud or
Mm,
what? However.
No,
Well, that,
I didn't. at the time, right? So
Mhm.
here's what happened.
Okay.
I had like years of notes. Like
Wow.
I had written a song in there that I had never written down on paper,
Mhm.
and like, a crappy song, but and like lists of movies that I wanted to watch and that I had seen, and like some other more recent just stuff that I needed, right? And when I think it was when I dropped my phone and shattered the screen, or maybe just randomly, it just all got wiped, and I couldn't find it again. So
Well-
after that, I went out and bought like a nice leather notebook that I can put in my back pocket, and I like started doing my lists in like with a pencil and pen in this notebook.
That's probably a better idea. I've definitely tried stuff like that, like keep a folded piece of paper in my wallet or something. But I got to the point where it was so convenient to use my phone.
It is way.
When I
is,
have a thought or something,
Yeah.
I'll jot it down, or when I'm journaling for the day, I'll write a few pages or something.
type it. You'll type it in your phone.
And I sync that. I recently synced that up with the cloud, so the app, however many few gigabytes they get, 5 gigabytes.
Well,
with
I don't
the
really
Apple Cloud.
understand how it works because on Apple Notes, they don't really explain it. There's a section it just says notes, and you can click in it and type in there.
Mm-hmm.
And there's another one that it has my email address. Is that the one that's synced to the cloud?
I think so. And
What if my cloud's full, which it probably is? Then I'm screwed.
right,
so-
it'll probably bug you with
This is why
upgrade to.
This is why I don't deal with the cloud. I like hard copies.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Well, ever since
I buy all hard copy movies.
Mhm.
Like I've never bought
I believe in definitely buying hard copy movies
because there's gonna be a time.
the quality too is. It's not like you can stream. You can stream in 4K now, but it's different,
Yes, because
than having 25 gigs of
I
data
don't
on
care
a
how
Blu-ray
you can
disc.
stream an 8K freaking thing, right? Go watch
Audio. Let's just talk about audio.
No, listen.
That'll be
Just
a
go
ton
watch Game
better.
of Thrones on HBOGo.com. It's streaming it in 4K, right?
Right.
But streaming still requires compression of video and audio. So that show's incredibly dark in a lot of the scenes.
Oh, well, you
Pay
see like the
attention.
chunky
You
fading.
see the bands of color because it can't recreate the dark colors.
And could that be that your
It's because
phone
of-
isn't a 4K display?
No. It's the same way on my laptop. It's the same way on whatever. It's just because same way on my 4K television. It's just because with streaming services you have to compress.
Yeah. The transcoding and all of the stuff they do.
That's why there's a
I
difference
mean-
in audio. That's why there's a difference between Spotify / that's why there's like premium versions of Spotify and then like TIDAL, which is supposed to be the highest quality streaming.
Isn't TIDAL like a platform that helps the artist more or something?
I'm not sure, but
one of them was created
it's
by
most-
like Kanye, maybe.
it's Jay-Z, I think.
Jay-Z, yeah.
But this is mostly branded as it's $20 a month, and it's like I forget what the rates are, but it's the highest quality
Wow.
streaming audio service you can get. It's still not as good as a CD though.
Mm-hmm.
So like an actual WAV file.
Yeah,
on a
but
CD.
going back to the notes thing, like, yeah, I definitely at one point. So the reason why I started kind of have my workflow files in the cloud. I do this with my notes. I do this with any documents that I'm working on. Anything that's kind of in my queue of influence at the time, not archived, right? I have it synced up with OneDrive or Google Drive or whatever. The reason for that is I started doing it a year and a half ago, and it was when I had all the pictures I ever took on one hard drive, like an idiot.
Yeah, I did the same
And-
thing with a computer.
I dropped the hard drive, and it's not recoverable.
Yeah, go ahead.
And it was just kind of crazy to think like, well, all the pictures that I've ever taken up until 2 years ago are destroyed. All the
It's a
pictures or
s-
videos,
it's a
all
very-
the files, all the writing. Because I wrote a lot, and throughout my childhood, I was an avid writer. I would write every day, and all that's gone.
It's a super disheartening feeling. We had the same kind of deal. Probably starting somewhere when I was in middle school. So we're talking like, I can't do math, but over 10 years ago, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Starting then and then running up until like 2 or 3, 4 years ago. So a good chunk of time, our whole family, we kept all of our photographs on an iMac
Mm-hmm.
in the iMac hard drive, and it wasn't backed up anywhere. That computer crashed, and we tried to have the hard drives recovered. They were able to recover some, but not all of it. I mean, it's just the digital world poses major problems. Like I worry about
Are you talking about like
working on projects on hard drives. Like I have a hard drive. I'm working on a project. I come home at night. I back it up. I should back it up onto my backup hard drive immediately. I don't always do that because I'm lazy. But then like maybe I should back it up to a backup. Like how many backups should I need?
right?
And like
it's
there
kind
are
of a never-ending
levels.
cycle.
There are levels of hard drives. There's these super expensive ones you can get that are made for archiving
Mm-hmm.
that last way longer. So maybe, but
And there's
you get into that, you're
Yeah.
starting to, who knows?
Yeah, it's like the highest quality mechanical drives versus solid state. Solid state's less likely to go out on you in the short term, but in the long term,
Yeah.
those after you keep rewriting those cells, it's going to go out. In the same way, anything mechanical, we haven't figured out how to make, cars never break down. Anything mechanical is going to need maintenance, is going to need eventually fail.
So how often should you, if you're storing if you're a photographer and you're storing your catalog of photographs on hard drives, like how often should you cycle through new hard drives and always?
That's a
You
good
probably
question.
always just keep doing that.
Yeah.
And you're gonna end up with a pile of hard drives, probably,
Right. And you're going to be spending a lot of money, but it's certainly better than having
losing your life's work.
Right. And just kind of one more thing on the whole archival thing. We have a lot of old we have a lot of old film. I think it's
Like VHS film,
VHS and I don't know what millimeter
35
it is.
millimeter,
Yeah.
probably. Yeah.
Mhm. And was it type 10, type 11 photograph?
I don't know.
There's a certain old type of photograph that's
Probably
like
35 millimeter film.
we actually have a 35 millimeter projector from
Really?
passed down from
That's
the
cool.
generations, which is pretty cool. And but my point is we have all of these old documents and pictures, tons of pictures they're physical pictures, and we're kind of going through this process at the house right now where we scan these pictures, high resolution scan.
You have like a nice scanner to do that with?
Yeah. To a hard drive, and then it's a process.
Yeah.
Because usually
Well, there's
lay
companies
6 on
that'll
the
do
bed,
that. You can send everything you have off to like these
an
companies
archiving
now.
company.
Yeah. Which is pretty cool, but because you're right, like the physical copies can get burnt in a house fire. So
And I guess the best thing to do is have, if you're really being serious about redundancy, is have a mechanical hard drive with let's just talk about if you're trying to archive one photo. Take that photo, put it on a mechanical hard drive in your house. Put it on a solid state hard drive in your house. Upload it to the cloud. Upload it to Google Drive, Dropbox, all the cloud platforms. And then also store a mechanical and a solid state in a different location in case a tornado comes through.
build yourself a bunker in the ground.
Well, exactly. It's like, where do you stop,
Yeah, you become a doomsday prepper at that point.
Right.
Really doesn't matter.
It's like I have plans A through Z, backup plan Y and Z, and then you go into the numbers 000, 001.
It was a sad thing when we lost all those pictures, but at the end of the day, does it really matter? In the long term, it doesn't matter, but I'll still go back and look through. We have photo albums from before the iMac, back when I was literally little, and like pictures of my grandparents who aren't alive anymore, and
Right.
like pictures of me as a kid, with my grandpa's dog, who's not alive anymore, who's my
Mhm.
favorite dog ever. And it's like, those are still there, but the stuff on that iMac is not. So
Yeah, and
that time period, you can't go back and look at. I mean, the only place where that stuff is, some of that stuff is on Facebook that my mom had posted all over Facebook. She posted.
and I want to touch on that, what you just said about Facebook, but I also want to say, I can totally relate to that same thing. Like you see a picture and you're like, that's my great times 4 grandfather.
Yeah.
And I came across some stuff, some Civil War stuff.
Pictures?
No, like, well, we had I don't know if it had to be later than the Civil War. I don't know. It was we have an actual flag.
Oh, wow.
It's a super old flag. I'll get back to you on that next time. More about that. But I can't remember how many greats it was. Let's see. Well, I couldn't tell you accurately, but so many great. I had a bunch of great uncles. When I say great uncles, I'm gonna say great times in however many greats there is.
Yeah.
But one of them, so they were both brothers, and one of them fought for the North, and one of them fought for the South against each other,
Really?
and they were brothers.
Dang.
And it's interesting how divided some of these families were in the Mid South.
Yeah.
But
Especially in Tennessee, that was like
yeah,
one of the main areas for the division.
And he fought. I think one of them fought against Ulysses S. Grant in the battle, and they got captured. They all got captured.
Jeez.
Yeah. But yeah, and for instance, even writings. I had there's a great times 2 aunt that was a school teacher in like the late 1800s, and she had a writing where she wrote about Abraham Lincoln.
Like in
Like as a
historical
president,
terms,
as
her, like,
yes.
wow. And you have that?
Mm-hmm. And she did some other writings too, like about former presidents from a historical content. But I've come across some stuff that I can't really comprehend in terms of historical meaning.
Yeah.
I'll sit there. I stared at that thing for like 2 hours. I was like, what?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Back then, did they have like? I mean, I feel like they had photography, right? Back then, where they just literally had like, that's when they held up the, I don't know, whatever the substance was.
Yeah, they
that
threw the
used.
dust in the air and
Like they would ignite it, and that's what did the flash. And
Yeah,
then
the
that's
whole
what
heat
light,
thing,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. They had that in there back then, right? Civil War. I don't know.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
but it wasn't.
I don't know
it wasn't,
exactly what form photography was at that point,
Yeah,
but
but it
there
was
was
there.
photography.
It was there.
Yeah.
And
It wasn't very.
Because here, I'll show you it. Well, I
Yeah.
can't show you.
Well, it wasn't very
phone's dead.
Look up this. There's a picture of Lincoln.
obtainable. Like it wasn't very.
No.
No. Okay.
It wasn't like
So
widespread.
how weird would it be to be talking about your president back then, but not know what he looked like?
I think. Well, you have like
Everyone
there were
kind of
definitely
knew. Like,
drawings.
Yeah.
there were drawings, right?
Wait,
but you don't know this guy's
and
face.
There are
You probably
pictures
did
of
see
Abraham
pictures.
Lincoln.
There, yeah, you would see pictures.
Yeah.
Where'd you see him though?
I know.
I assume like the presidential portrait was widely distributed
And have you seen?
Right, but where would you go see that?
in your town. It would be somewhere in your town. I
In
don't
your town?
in a book or in
Okay.
probably hanging on walls. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess
Yeah, it was definitely widely distributed. But going to the Abraham Lincoln thing, my former boss, he retired, and I guess he's 68 now or 66, but he actually had an Abraham Lincoln campaign pendant with a photo of Abraham Lincoln in it.
In the dang.
Yeah, and I looked it up. They're worth like
Oh, that
thousands
solves
of
that
dollars.
Have y'all ever seen the Hateful Eight? This is kind
Oh.
of
Yeah.
It's a great movie.
where he's like
That's a good one.
has the letter from Lincoln. That's like the
Yeah.
whole the big part of the movie. I love that.
But we can go into definitely a deep dive next time. I can get some more information and we can talk about history more in terms of like family history.
I want to try.
I'm related to Davy Crockett.
We
What?
can-
Yeah.
Really?
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I have no clue who I'm related to.
And
I'm somehow German somewhere though.
Davy Crockett, ninth cousin once removed, and Andrew Johnson,
Dang.
which is not as cool because he was impeached. The first president to be impeached.
Hey, at least he was a president, though.
But he had took over. Imagine the turmoil he had to inherit. Lincoln gets assassinated, and then he has to take over the role.
Hey, why did he get impeached?
It was super trivial. It was something like,
I can look it up.
Cause I didn't.
I'm pretty sure he like fired. He fired someone in the Senate, and you weren't allowed to do that. He like forced them to quit or something crazy. It was some. The modern stuff that presidents do is like way crazier.
Yeah, I was about to say if only they knew.
There's
what happens
probably
now.
more behind it than that, but somehow I'm related.
I have a.
Because I think his family's from Tennessee. Yeah, Andrew Johnson was from Tennessee, so there. Yeah,
Oh, cool.
yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I have a hard question. Do you think?
Well, I'm not very smart, so I might.
Well,
not
yeah,
answer.
no, you might know this one.
Okay.
You know this one way better than I do.
Okay.
Because this is kind of about the founding fathers.
Okay.
Yeah, here you go. Do you think they thought it would last this long?
For sure.
Our government? Because I've always
Yeah.
been taught that it. Like I remember being taught that they didn't think that it would last this long.
Well, there's quotes by Thomas Jefferson saying that all democracies fall, which that's true in observation that all democracies
Well,
before
no,
this one has
I've
fallen.
heard
But
this.
the fact that this democracy is this democratic republic is so unique, and compared to the previous ones, they did believe that it would last longer than previous democratic establishments.
But
Because
that's
of
what
its
they're-
nature and of the Constitution, of the way it's constructed, and the different key factors that is different from when compared to earlier civilizations that were democratic, similar to the United States.
Right, but they did the articles first, right? And then they're like, well, this
And
obviously
they're like,
doesn't work.
yeah,
And then they did this, and then I thought they were like doing this, and then obviously they wanted it to work, but then they're also being like, well,
I'm sure they were.
this also.
Look, all they could do though, it's not like. All they could do was try to come up with the best.
I'm also thinking ahead of like, do you think some of like the how do I word this? Some of the stuff they did, they thought,
getting them
Go
all
ahead,
toys
you do
out.
that, do I think?
Um,
Like how did they create some of these amendments? You know, and then did they?
Well, there weren't any
how
amendments
could
at
they?
first. Bill of Rights. Amendments were basically every amendment is us having to clarify the stupidity of some people in the country. It's like, yeah, like all men are created equal, and
well, it's why
like,
we have all this legal jargon and all these contracts that we sign. Whether we sign for a loan, it's like there's like 10 effing pages of like stuff, and it's like legal jargon that kind of protects the dealer, and that's because people will sue for anything and people will get upset about anything, and you have to clarify that so distinctly. It's I think it's similar in the fact that, you know, what you're saying is like clarification. People bring like, well, what about this? What about this
there was
loophole? And you
major
have
stuff
to
you had to
clarify.
clarify. It's like, oh, we need to clarify that women are also included in this rights thing, you know? And then,
Right.
we need to clarify that African Americans are also included in this rights thing. But a lot of what the founding fathers believed, you know, a lot of people would disagree with this probably, but they had that all in mind in the first place.
Yeah,
They
That's where
knew
I'm getting
they
at.
could never get it all passed without. They had to get some, like the southern states would never pass certain, like I think it was like Thomas Jefferson or was it Washington who was literally forbidden from like letting his slaves get released or something crazy like that.
That was
Because of-
Thomas Jefferson.
Yeah.
Because it was an actual. So when Thomas Jefferson's dad died, his dad left him a bunch of slaves, from what I can understand, from what I remember. And he was bound by. He was legally bound to those slaves somehow, and in his writings, Thomas Jefferson, if you little kind of extra fact here, in some of his writings, he said that, in his opinion, that he said he thinks that slavery period is a bad thing and shouldn't exist. He said, but he said we've already infected the idea of slavery in American society, and he kind of predicted this whole civil rights movement and everything in his writings, and he said that we need to, he's like, the only way to avoid that is to put things back to the way they were. He said the only way to avoid future chaos is to put things back to the way they were and ship all slaves back to Africa. Yeah. That was his kind of viewpoint, which is interesting.
Yeah, a lot of the founding fathers get criticism, but most people don't know. They had so much like writings back and forth, and just
it's like
that you don't ever hear about, just because there's just too much. Like,
right, and they set up, like, going back to kind of what you're saying, they set up a system to where things like the Bill of Rights could be passed, because they kind of foreshadowed it, like,
well, it's
they
like
foresaw it.
They were like,
so they were like, we can't do this now, so we'll set up a system to where it can happen.
Yes, in the future, like, when future Americans read these documents, they're gonna say, "Oh, well, wait, if all men, yeah." So,
if y'all want to know about Andrew Johnson's impeachment, I've been trying to dissect this Wikipedia page in between conversations over here. So, the House's primary charge against Johnson was violation of the Tenure of Office Act. It's a federal law that was intended to restrict the power of the president to remove certain office holders without approval.
Yeah,
that's what you said.
Yeah, like
and specifically, he had removed Edwin McMaster Stanton, the Secretary of War, whom the act was largely designed to protect, and attempted to replace him with another dude.
With another dude, does it say that?
Yeah, no. With Brevet Major General Lorenzo Thomas.
Ooh.
Yeah, and then it goes on. You know how wordy Wikipedia can get, but that's you nailed it right on the dot, didn't you?
Yeah,
nailed it right on the head. I don't know why you'd nail a dot, but okay. I don't know why. I don't know why. I just thought about this earlier. Talking about, I love Dippin' Dots. The science behind Dippin' Dots is pretty interesting.
Science behind? Did they use liquid nitrogen?
The exact temperature where the ice cream can turn to like little liquid or little pellets that can stay of an ice cream form without becoming like complete ice. Anyways, it's pretty interesting. There's a whole science behind it.
Is that where we're going?
No.
I was just wondering.
Go back to your other. Go back.
I like space ice cream.
Oh.
I've never had it.
Freeze dried. Have y'all ever been to the Space Center in Alabama?
Yep. Never had anything astronaut food, actually.
Have you been to the Kennedy Space Center in Florida?
No.
That's an awesome. You see the vehicle assembly building?
Holy crap. Really like the freaking SR71 Blackbird.
Let's talk about that.
That's my favorite. They have one sitting outside in Alabama. You can just walk up to it.
I've seen that one. I saw the one. I think they have one at Eglin Air Force Base in Florida. I've seen 2 or 3 different ones, and every time I just look at it, I'm like, holy crap. That's a feat. And I don't know, did I talk about this last time about the SR71?
I think we mentioned
Yeah, I think I told some stories that I saw on the
stuff.
Smithsonian channel, yeah. I wanted to loop back a big loop here to what you were saying about people's family pictures are on Facebook.
Okay. Yeah, and that's a big loop back.
And I really want to talk about this because it's really prevalent today, since there's a lot of controversy on what Facebook has done and what Facebook is doing. They have been the monopoly of the social media world for quite a while, and in the unique retrospect that...
I wouldn't say they're a monopoly. There are a few monopoly. Like, not of... I get what you're saying.
Well, in the
Facebook, Twitter,
specific-
YouTube.
Yeah,
Like, there's your money.
they were the pioneer essentially.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Oh
Don't forget about MySpace.
yeah, they can't be getting a MySpace account nowadays.
That's true.
Um,
What are you saying? Sorry.
so there's a mass exodus that needs to happen. And this is my opinion.
You ever heard?
In terms of people having Facebook accounts. I think that there is a lot of wrong things that have gone on in Facebook and around Facebook, in terms of advertising, in terms of kludgy activity.
Wait. What? Kludgy?
Kludgy.
What does that mean?
Is that a term that I made up?
I've never heard it.
Kludgy, like, think
No.
about kludgy is like you see someone outside and they're walking and they're being suspicious. It's like, it's a suspicious thing. It's a kludgy thing. They're up to something. If you're kludgy, you're suspicious looking. You're up to something. What are you doing? You're kludgy.
I like that. I never heard that.
It's
Have you
probably,
heard this, Ryan? Kludgy?
I would have never thought it meant that.
Kludgy. It's like, it's sort of like a sneaky bougie.
Yeah, exactly. I can bring up a lot of other terms too, from West Tennessee. A lot of these terms that I say come from years and years of just passing down words that aren't in the dictionary. If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
One of them,
Kludgy.
I'll say right now. I'll kind of segue off into this because kludgy's one. One that I kind of recently manufactured is so there's something called a loblolly. You heard of that? A loblolly
Seems
is
like something out of Willy Wonka, bro.
a loblolly is like, well, it's just like, I'll give you some examples. Like a pig pen. If you look at a pig pen and you saw the hog laying in there, that's a loblolly. Or you see like a, okay, I can't obviously,
So a
I'm obviously not
cage.
relating. No. Something that's messy and it's just kind of like all piled up in there.
Oh, okay.
Hoblolly is something that I like to say more than
Just
loblolly.
a jumbled mess.
I like hobnobbing.
Or egger.
Hobnob.
Hobnob.
We're
Another-
sort of hobnobbing right now.
Yeah.
Just kind of
Shooting the wind.
talking about nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. What we're doing is growing moss under a tailpipe right now. But
What? Just what are you saying about
Where
Facebook?
you got that from?
Let's go back to Facebook. What was your point?
my point is
mass exodus, like
yes,
Bob Marley, Exodus.
I'm
It's a
saying
good song.
everybody should leave Facebook.
That's the song recommendation of the day is Bob Marley, Exodus.
Facebook has
You know what?
intervened with so many people's lives, has done so many wrong things.
You don't have
in
to
my
get on
opinion.
Facebook though.
True. And
what's,
yes, when you click the check mark,
It's so annoying.
right?
It's so ugly. I hate Facebook.
Everybody does,
It's
but
just
you know what?
ads and
So
just
Yeah, but you know what's really weird
People
about
posting
Facebook?
pictures of blurry pictures.
It's not young people anymore.
Why are you posting blurry pictures? Your phone is. I know
Because
your
they're all-
camera's better than that.
They're all old people now.
Low
Not- well,
lighting,
old, but
blur. No, I see young
I would have to
people.
disagree
see
with
young
that. It's
people?
everybody.
I see young
it's
people.
the target audience has gone from
You have
young
a Facebook?
to no. I've never had a Facebook.
Interesting.
That's awesome. I do, and I don't know.
My point is that the reason why people aren't migrating away like you think they are is Facebook is in the headlines every day of something that they're doing wrong or something illegal activity or selling people's information without telling them. This is happening every day. It's in the headlines. People are reading it, but yet they still get onto Facebook. Facebook has pulled off one of the, I don't want to say one of the greatest, but one of the top psychological kind of attempts at jabbing at the human mind, at addiction. Aside from that, though, the reason why people aren't migrating away from Facebook is because they have their life pictures on Facebook. A lot of people aren't technologically proficient to store their photos and keep an archive of their photos. or they don't know how to operate a computer, but they can upload to Facebook. They don't know how to operate a computer very well, but they can upload to Facebook. And so you have this epidemic of people that are on Facebook. They have all their life photos on Facebook, but they don't migrate away because they know that all their photos are on Facebook. So my proposal to all you technology enthusiasts out there is to create a tool to help people migrate from Facebook so we can just end this Facebook epidemic of terribleness.
You're talking about...
I don't know if that's the only reason people stick on Facebook. A lot of people stick around on Facebook because they're depressed and it's some sort of false sense of connection to other people.
That's not just Facebook. That's all social media.
Yeah.
It's the entire internet. Not the entire, but
the
a lot of the
internet. The internet can provide great things, but
we
also
can't really say anything about the internet because we don't know truly what it is.
Well, okay.
in terms of people, in terms of comprehending it.
I'm saying
and
like
its impact on society. We have no statistics.
There is stuff on there that is of use, like a documentary about animals. Is awesome.
Exactly.
Of course, I would buy the 4K.
I agree with you. Wikipedia, YouTube. There's a lot of good things on those platforms.
Yes, but then again, there's a lot of nonsense. And people just get trapped in these loops of nonsense that may have started out in a good place, but people are just you just go around and people are sitting all day. They're just sitting on their phone.
And partly
I'm guilty
why this
of it
is
sometimes. It's an addiction.
The concept of a scrolling feed is one of the most brilliant marketing inventions of all time.
And they don't even let their kids use it.
It doesn't end. It doesn't. Sometimes it may end. Or it may need to refresh, but you keep scrolling. You're using that right thumb. You're using that left thumb. You keep scrolling. Your thumb's strong. You keep scrolling and scrolling until the end of the day. You go to sleep scrolling, and you wake up scrolling. It's this whole, and there can be, and because this is so ingrained into humans nowadays, it's like, I think that there can be so many conspiracies tied to that.
The executives at these companies don't let their kids use Facebook and other social media.
Mark Zuckerberg covers up his webcam and plugs his rips his microphone out of his computer.
I'm saying they don't let their kids use it because they know it's addicting.
They know
it's bad for you.
And
I recently noticed this.
Don't even get me started on that.
I recently noticed just how much nonsense social media is, and I don't follow a lot of stuff. I follow sort of what I want to see, right? Theoretically.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll just use Instagram as an example. So in the past, like when I was in school and stuff, I would periodically just be sitting around and checking Instagram or whatever throughout the day. And so I think that's what most people do. And so it never seems like a problem because it's just like, oh, I'll just look at it for a second and then, oh, you didn't really see anything important, but, maybe there was a cool picture of a dolphin or something in there if you follow the right stuff, right? But
right.
I got kind of busy, right? And so I had my phone, I didn't look at it for like 12 hours, during the day. I was like working.
Mm-hmm.
And that night, I don't know, it was some sort of habit, but I got onto the phone and started scrolling through like Instagram stories and like Instagrams from the whole day. That's when you can really grasp, like, and I don't follow but like less than 200 things on Instagram. And so you can really grasp just how much nonsense, because you can scroll for an hour before you get like back to stuff you've already seen.
Yesterday.
It's like, what is all this? It's just flowing and flowing forever, and it's just like,
it's genius. It's the most genius trick that the internet has played on human beings.
But when you view it from that angle, though, of like seeing, like I follow some of these people who like post like a ton of stories, like most of it's
post
just
the perfect image on their life for social media, or you follow
the stories, like, and they'll have like all these dots at the top, like It's just when you view it from the angle. Do you like check social media very often? Do y'all
Define
do this?
social media.
Spencer does not use any social media.
Okay, that's
Define
good.
social media.
I don't know, dude.
Something you so let's go.
Something
Let's
you
go
check-
right now. Social media is something that you can post to exhibit your life
And you check it periodically.
that way.
Especially in my realm of physical friends.
Yes,
Yeah.
right now.
No, I'm out of that.
What about you?
Been out of that for 6 years now.
I have Instagram. I haven't posted in about 5 years. I go on it every now and then, but every time I run in that situation where I'll look and I'll be like, this is all nonsense that I don't care about. And so I get off and then I go to Reddit. So,
Yeah, see, it's all nonsense. But here's another thing: it's like I've been told by mentors that like if you want to make it in this modern, like in the modern version of this industry,
oh, yeah.
you need to be like hardcore using social media to your advantage because there's people out there getting jobs that don't even have the skills to get the jobs just because they're just grinding on
Well,
social media.
Well, this goes into a whole
And
different
that to
conversation.
me, that terrifies me because I don't want to be that person who has to use.
Well, what you're talking about is that's a conversation of how people a lot of people will just get jobs through networking, and that's what that is. It's just all networking. Like a lot of people, they'll go to interviews and they already know who they're going to pick purely because they have a connection.
Yeah.
And they know this person already, and they don't want to take the time or take the risk of hiring someone else compared to someone they already know.
And kind of another dynamic to that is, this is going to get a little personal for me, but I know that ever since I deleted social media like 6 or 7 years ago, I had social media, I guess, for about 2 years total, and then I deleted it. Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook. And ever since I deleted that, it has been an exponential struggle to be social. Meaning that I meet a person in real life and they say, "Oh, can I get your Snapchat?" Or I don't have a Snapchat. And it's like a lot of the times they have this medium of, okay, I can have your Snapchat, but I'm not going to get your number.
Yeah.
It's almost like the number has become a more personal thing, like, or people don't even give out numbers anymore. It's all on
Well,
Snapchat.
I get it.
They all
I
you
message
just
kinda
on
don't need
Snapchat.
it. You just don't need it.
Yeah, and
I'll DM you.
there's other examples that I could give, and where not having social media has been a complete social disadvantage for me in real life.
I could try to explain
I know I've met
that.
people that I tell them that I don't have any social media, and they're like, "That's weird. You're weird. You're probably a serial killer. What the hell?" Not only
Yeah.
on one scenario, but on multiple scenarios, on 5 or 6 scenarios. They'll be like, "That's weird," and they'll instantly start treating me differently.
Why
because
aren't
of that.
you marching to the with the rest of the sheep? Why are you just
Right.
being a independent
And
person?
I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it because for social recognition. I'm not doing it because, hey, look at me. I don't have social media. I'm cooler than you.
cool,
I'm
yeah,
better
yeah.
than you.
Well, that's probably the
I
usual
don't.
outlook.
I don't ever tell people unless they ask me, which I get heated about it. I'll be like, they say, "Why are you like that?" And I say, because I feel like that for once in my life, when I deleted Snapchat, I was in control.
I like that.
Think about you're driving at 2 a.m. Probably like we're about to be, me and you, Chase, we're about to drive home.
Yeah.
2 a.m., whatever time it is. And nobody's on the street. You pull up to a red light. You look left, you look right. You look forward. You don't see anybody for miles. And you just stare at that red light. And you think, why is this red light controlling me right now?
I like that.
Well, I respect the red light
Oh God, yeah. I mean,
because without the red light during the day, there would be mayhem.
True. But I'm saying,
But-
but the principle of the matter is
You ever
that
seen Mexico City?
it's 2 a.m., there's nobody.
Well,
There's no threat to you. Assuming there's no cop sitting in the parking lot.
because look,
well, that's a different conversation too, because that's
Hopefully-
breaking the law technically. So
I just don't. Here's my think on this, all right? I try to be the type of person where if it's 2 a.m., if I've been out, if it's 2 a.m. and I'm headed home, I probably had, done something interesting or, did a cool podcast or whatever that night. It's like I'm probably in a mindset to where I don't want to be the type of person who is in such a hurry that a red light is going to cause me to.
Well, perhaps I
I don't
didn't
even think
clarify
about
in what
it.
I said.
Hold on.
But I
a
was
second.
talking about this, not
Yeah,
literally,
let's
but
not-
an ultimate.
Yes, please.
Well,
Let's not get technical with this. We're not talking about the idea of breaking a law just so we can go anywhere, or what you're talking about is being
I don't-
that guy. What he's talking about is
I'm
the
not even talking
metaphorical
about
side.
specific examples.
He's
I'm
just being
talking about
metaphorical.
applying specifically. You pull up at a red light in the desert, or in Texas somewhere. There's nothing. Why did you stop?
Say it's a metaphor. No,
But it's a metaphor. Okay, it's a metaphor.
It's not. It's
And-
not really.
Well,
so
I'm lost.
I'm going to
struggling.
tie this
He's
back.
saying-
I'm going to tie this back here.
I'm a metaphor that
I tell that.
I'm going to use the metaphor that I stop at the red light because I'm not in a hurry.
Okay.
Maybe there's something
No,
cool.
but
I'm
I
tying
can-
this back to
Maybe there's
something. Hold
something
on.
cool that I can
hold
enjoy.
on. Let him, I know what he's going for. Go for it.
Well, so I tell people this, and then I guess if they don't get too technical with it, they're like, "That's interesting."
They don't get lost like me.
And I say, so why do you let the phone control you?
Wait. Okay. Wait. So when you say to them, okay. So you say to them, "There's a red light at 2 a.m." and what do you say exactly? Because I need to go all the way back.
Okay, there's a red light at 2 a.m. You stop at the red light,
This is what you're telling the person who
Yeah.
wonders why you don't have social media.
right? You stop at a red light, and you look left, you look right, you look forward, you look in all directions. There's nobody, and then you look at the red light and you just stare at it and you say, "What am I doing? Why am I not moving forward?"
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So what's their response then?
And their response is like, they'll
Oh,
say
I'll just go.
They'll say the law, or I'll just go. I get multiple responses. But
And so your comeback is.
But so the whole red light metaphor is is to get them in the mindset of thinking, why do I stop at a red light at 2 a.m. when there's nothing?
The red light is social media.
Okay, maybe the red light is a bad example.
I know what you're saying.
But-
I like it.
For those of you, yeah. So
I don't know.
But-
you're
but-
gonna have to
and
work
then-
a little bit harder
okay.
to get me to get there.
All right. Well, I'm not going to work any harder because it might just kind of exacerbate this kind of bad metaphor. But did I say that? Did I use the term incorrectly?
Oh, I don't. It's a word that's close to something else.
So, well,
My childish mind came out. I'm
I
sorry.
say.
So where?
Well, I say. Forget the red light metaphor for a second, if you can understand.
I think it's an interesting concept to talk about. That's why I kind of went off on it. But
Well, the red light metaphor gets
I
them
do
in
too,
the mindset.
but we go off so hard on all this stuff we never come back. So
The red light metaphor in this concept just represents them questioning.
yeah, but it's not the
questioning
same
things.
as social media.
Right, it's
Because
not.
they're not-
It's not. I agree with you. I'll
So
agree
you-
with you.
that-
are you
that's the
saying that they
problem.
should question social media in the same way that they would question why am I sitting at this red light?
in a way, just take the law of the question. Imagine like this. You abide by that red light when there's traffic. Okay. And let's say theoretically we live in a country where it's like you don't have to wait on it if you don't want to, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
Let's say it is a guideline. Let's say it's not, but everyone follows it when traffic because they know it's helpful and they
Okay.
should. And then you do it so much that when you are at 2 a.m. and there's no one around, you sit there and realize, oh wait, I don't have to wait on this.
Because it's
So-
not threatening my life, and although it is a law,
So like, why have I just been doing this? And it's because
Well-
I'm in the mindset where I'm conditioned like this.
Sometimes they will let you know that if it's in a rural area, they'll turn that boy flashing yellow and they'll say, "It's okay, you can go. It's the middle of the night." You seen those? And
Definitely.
Well, the yields, yeah.
When it comes, no,
What are you talking about?
yeah, like it's a
Like-
normal red light during the day, and then in the middle of the night it becomes a yellow flashing
Yeah,
light,
I've seen this.
and then the next morning it's back to a normal light.
Well, that's just
It's letting you.
Regardless,
What are you
regardless,
comparing this to?
I don't know.
I'm still
Okay.
talking about social
It's
media.
I'm not.
Oh, you're talking
well,
about streets now.
I'm literally talking about.
Well, and then I
lights,
say,
bro.
and then they say, well, it ends up being that they say, I ask them, so do you think you're in control? And they say, well, yeah, I could go right through the red light. And then I say, okay,
Do you have free will?
now let's bring this over to social media. Are you in control? They're like, yeah, I can post what I want. I can choose to follow someone or not follow someone. And I say, okay. I say, then give me your phone. And they're like, well, what are you doing? I say, I'm going to delete all of your social media. And then they say,
Honestly, though, I'd just be like, fine, and then you can just re-download it, and you still have your account, though. So I mean, it doesn't really matter.
I meant like the account. Like,
okay.
How hard is it to delete an account? I bet it's pretty hard
What? Nah.
to delete an
You just go to
account.
your settings and go all the way to the bottom.
well, they make you play a game with Facebook now. Now I don't
you gotta
know.
play a game
but
of Scrabble.
8 years
just to-
ago,
They probably
or
try to
7
hide
years
it.
ago, I clicked. You have to request to delete your account. It takes 30 days.
What?
I had to wait an entire month.
What do you
Isn't
mean?
there
you
like
have to
billions
wait?
of
And I'm
dead-
still in their database. You know I'm still in their archive database, boy.
Oh yeah.
That's because
You know I'm all up in
if
there.
you ever come back, they'll just be like, "Oh, here's what you've missed, Spencer."
Really?
Well,
It takes 30
Here's
days.
all your
though?
old pictures.
What is the process? What are they
well,
doing?
well, what they say, they make it to where you have a 30-day window, and then after that 30-day window, your account really gets deleted. And so it's the difference between muting your account and like semi-deleting it and then really deleting it.
Because they know.
Yeah.
Because
Within
within that 30
days,
days, if you come back on the 29th day, they're
you
like,
get that.
they're like, you're back.
You getting those withdrawals by day
Oh, yeah.
28.
I would like
you're
to
just
see like the stats on that. Like how many
Man.
people come back. Like
No. Hold on.
like how many
Okay.
days does it usually take for someone who comes back?
Okay, here we go. So I just remembered something. Okay.
Yeah,
So
go ahead.
when so that was a couple of times I said, well, let me delete your social media.
Yep.
They say, no, I'm not going to do that. And oftentimes that segue doesn't work. But what I've tried more recently is I'll say, okay, you delete your social
Yeah, I was
media.
about to say tell them.
Yeah,
tell them
you
to do
delete
it.
your social media, and they say no, and I say, so are you really in control?
Okay, but they're in control. They are deciding not to delete it.
But why?
So
I think what you need to do is you need to first convince them.
I don't understand the experiment.
You need to convince
I've never
them-
been asked that question before or told that before. People usually are like, yeah, well, you're weird.
Yeah,
And they'll
well,
just stop there. But you actually provided an interesting
what did I say?
viewpoint.
Wait, what did you say?
What did I say?
Oh, wait. Hold on. I said,
Mark that.
hold
one.
up. What did you say? I don't know. You said, I
Anyways.
said, delete your social media, and then you said that they make a specific decision. They just say no to not delete the social media. But I asked,
They don't say.
I say,
deciding
are
to.
you in control? And they say, and then you said, yes, I'm in control because I decided not to delete it. But I'm saying, but my
They
argument to that is, did you really decide? Or are you so addicted to the social media that you cannot not
okay.
try to
delete
get
it?
a person to leave their phone somewhere. Like
Oh,
go out
God.
for the day.
I've done it to
without
one
your phone.
person. I said, well, throw your phone in the trash can. But that didn't work because phones are necessary for communication.
Yeah,
calling
you-
people
you-
and
Are they though?
Yes.
Yeah.
Necessary?
No,
You tell
okay.
me you couldn't live a day without your phone?
No,
Like,
I'm not talking about day. I'm talking about a year.
yeah, you could.
A year without your phone.
Absolutely.
Living in the modern world.
Yep.
That'd be
you
extraordinary.
would, you
hard.
would be you could survive. Maybe
Right,
Yeah,
but
you could
it would be hard.
survive. I'm
You
not
wouldn't-
talking about survival. I'm not talking about
I might not be able to survive because
Primal
I couldn't check
survival.
my bank account to see
Yeah,
how many
what about that?
$0 is in there.
You'd have to go check every time. You have to go to the bank every time you want to go check your bank account. Yeah.
Well,
What about all the
hold
questions you have
on.
about the internet? Like,
We're getting
how
down
many
the
times
weeds
do you use the
here.
internet? Huh?
We're getting down in the weeds here because, well, you can have your check mailed to you and walk in the bank and get cash. So, but regardless, it's
Sure, but I'm saying that the phone is no longer just about communication too. It's your central hub for information as well.
Yeah, but
Think about the disadvantage you
people
have
didn't
against
have
you and everyone
information.
else.
we're
Okay.
not arguing that it's not a disadvantage. It obviously is.
like
But you can survive. You can live.
I guarantee you that most people have withdrawals though. They're not going to leave it.
When I
They feel naked without it.
Yeah.
when I deleted my social media, I had
The first thing when someone
first
realizes
thing-
my phone is lost,
These are people's brains right here.
you go.
Oh yeah.
Where's my phone? Oh my gosh.
If I check my pockets, my phone's up there. I actually just like jolt a little bit. Yeah. It feels weird not to have my
and
phone
it's
in my
not
pocket.
because it's an expensive item. It's because you're attached to it.
Hold on. Well, if I check my pocket and it's not there, the first thing I think about is, well, where it is. But the second thing I think about is, this is pretty expensive. Is that weird?
I don't think about that too much.
I think
I'm like,
probably
oh
don't.
gosh, it's a hassle to go down to the Verizon or
No,
AT&T, and that's exactly what I think about. I'm like, oh, great, another
Well-
5 hours of my life wasted talking to a Verizon or AT&T or whatever representative.
I think about what am I gonna do for like the next couple of things that I've committed to, and then this is gonna be a very big disadvantage for me.
It's like
Oh wow, I don't even think about that.
I think about how am I gonna communicate with this one person?
that'd be
blah,
true.
blah, blah, blah.
If like you're
You know?
going to meet friends and like you're trying to coordinate that,
or something like, or how about one time?
there's no pay
One time
phones.
my phone died, and I had to go to a jazz festival, and I didn't know how to communicate with someone that I was gonna be late, and I didn't know how because what
Well, yeah, what are you gonna do?
are you gonna do? And I'm supposed to I have to be there, because I'm performing.
What about navigation?
Navigation, I've never
screwed.
been there. That was something too. Like I never had been there.
Do y'all keep an atlas in your car?
No.
Sorry,
You do?
yeah,
You kids
Yeah.
are gonna be crappy preppers.
not my car right now because I'm kind of in the middle of.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I buy the atlas every year.
I don't think about these things. I just don't.
Be a good thing to do. I also have a survival kit.
I probably should have.
I think
Do
there
that.
was a.
Get
I
you
think
some
there.
flint and steel.
I think there was a time when I would have freaked out that my phone was dead.
Well, I wasn't talking about my phone was dead. It was.
I know, but mine's
It
dead
was
right
like
now. and
actually
it's
like broken.
there was probably a time when I would have been like, "Oh no,"
How
Oh, my phone could die and I can just go charge it and it's fine.
my my bold statement right now
Oh,
is
boy.
why are we giving this worthless piece of
'Cause it has a function.
social media? Why are we giving this idea, this technology, any time? It's completely worthless.
I wouldn't say it's completely worthless.
How much?
You
Hold
can
on.
you can communicate with more avenues of learning and interaction with humans that you
Yep.
never would have been able to even see
To clarify,
10 years
I say
ago.
social media, I mean the big four: Twitter, Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram.
Okay. I follow things on
Are you-
Instagram.
okay.
I say all
that
four
are
of
like-
those
what do
are
you say?
completely worthless. I don't care
Oh,
about the
okay,
ratio of educational content. I don't care about anything. The platforms are completely worthless. The platforms are completely.
Okay, you're talking about the platforms and not the actual
Okay, so
device. Are you
what-
talking about the actual device, or are you talking about the
That's what I.
platforms?
Yeah, that's
So
what I was trying to say earlier. Social media, the technology of social media.
Okay,
Oh,
so
okay,
the
sure.
content
That's
is
fine.
not worthless. Not all of it, but the platform is worthless. Is that what you're saying?
The platform's worthless, and most of the 90% of the content's
Okay.
worthless.
Most of pretty much.
But
the
I'll,
concept
I'll
that's on
exclude
there-
I'll exclude wildlife education / educational stuff or family photos being shared.
Yeah.
The messaging, I guess.
Here's the thing. All of those
even
benefits-
then,
That's
we can
sorta
talk about
worthless.
we can talk about messaging in general.
Really, I guess it
It's
is
ju-
worthless.
And people, instant messaging should just be used, whether it's SMS, whether it's over Facebook Messenger. It should be used for logistics only, in my opinion. It shouldn't be used to talk about, break up with your girlfriend or get together with your girlfriend or tell her how much write 10 paragraphs about how much you love her. It should only be used for logistics only. I'm not about controlling people's lives. I'm just saying that it should be used for logistical things only, like organizing, planning events, coordinating with other humans on logistics, and not because it's so damaging in the emotional aspect if you discuss anything other than logistical information over text.
Well, what you're talking about is progress. The problem with that, what always comes in the way of progress is money.
I don't know how to respond to that.
I'm getting lost.
I am too.
I'm sorry. I promised myself that I wouldn't get emotional.
Well,
No,
it's
no,
fine.
I know what you're saying.
I get lost because I can't comprehend.
So
it.
no. Hold on. Okay, you
most of the
said
time.
you said that social media or whatever that sort of media should only be used for logistics. Should only be used for formatting, educational purposes, or organization.
I meant instant messaging.
Instant messaging, like texting, literally
Like
just
SMS or Facebook Messenger.
Okay.
Messages.
Whether that messaging system is attached to your phone OS or social media platform.
You're saying that's all that should exist of that media?
I'm saying that it should only be
It should only be that.
logistical. Well, okay.
Are we now focusing on the idea of instant messaging now, or are we
Yes.
still talking about media?
Yeah, I transferred to that.
Okay. Now
sorry
I'm back on track.
If I didn't make that clear.
I didn't realize we were in that zone. Okay. Because I thought you were talking about media, like that type of social media, whatever. Like the big four should turn into the whole educational, organizational, like that field. And then I was like, okay, well that would be called, that's progress, right? And that it should be, of course, that would be the most beneficial thing to do with it. But then that wouldn't happen because of money, and those companies realize they can make money if they make people addicted to it, and that's what happens. That was my thought process. Sorry.
Well,
I feel like I need to explain
in that retrospect, definitely, greed is the killer.
Yeah. Well, I feel like that's a general statement over many things.
And I wrote down like a quote. Hold on 1 second. I wrote down a quote the other night. That I think it can be our quote of this podcast, or this segment of the podcast, whatever. And it's a 3-word quote. I don't know if I made it up or if I saw it, so I'm not crediting this to anyone. Emotions cloud judgment.
Yeah.
That's
I think that's literally what morals are.
it's pretty. I mean, it's obvious, but it's eloquent.
Who's that? What's that from? Who?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I was saying, like, I don't know if I saw it or...
I think that's a pretty...
There's a lot of anonymous quotes that are pretty good. I couldn't name one right now, but anyone like that has anonymous quotes, I feel like they're always really good quotes. Or you just don't know.
Emotions are weird. What we classify as emotions are weird.
Well, I think that's literally what humanity is most of the time. Is just how we're dealing with emotions.
Yeah, it's so weird, man.
Because I mean, we're
It's
like the
like-
first ones to. We're the first, creatures we know of course, on this planet that
Emotions can just instantly override.
well, that can display
anything.
emotions and then implement them into the way we think.
Yeah, it's like when you're trying to do something logically, like, you're doing a math problem. You're doing a math problem, and then you're taking an integration or doing a derivative, and then you're like, and you're in the middle of it, and then something triggers you, and you're like, I hate calculus, and then you get emotional, and you're like, just rip up the paper.
Oh yeah, for sure. And then, but then you have to also
that's
you have
a
to
bad
study
example.
yourself. Well, I know what you're talking about though.
But
You have to like study yourself and make you realize, okay, well, this is important.
right,
and-
like especially dealing with people, coworkers,
Isn't it-
whoever you work with. It's like, okay, we're here to get a job done, but then they say something and it triggers you or makes you mad, and you're like, and then it just disrupts the whole equilibrium of logic and emotion. That's what life is the pursuit of knowledge and the equilibrium of life and emotion, of logic and
Yeah.
emotion.
I think
life and emotion.
it's just always us interpreting, and then there's always
Emotion
confusion.
is the
and
balance
then-
of life and logic. Sorry, emotion. I don't know why I say
life
life is the balance of logic and emotion.
I could agree.
And the pursuit of knowledge.
And the pursuit of happiness.
Pursuit of happiness, yeah. It's probably the number one. Who doesn't, who doesn't want to be happy?
I have my debates on inner debates on what the pursuit of happiness means, and if that is even relevant. I still have a lot. I still have a lot of pondering to do about that.
I think that we need to do.
Oh man,
not now, but I feel like you're leaning towards that free will is not a thing. In some of the things you've said, which is, I would love to talk about that.
I'm not very. I don't know much about this actually. So I mean, I understand what free will, but I mean, I'd be interested in talking about this too. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean by
Okay, so let me try to make it simple. People who believe in free will, that human beings have free will, it means regardless of influence, outside influence, and basically that you as a human can choose to do things out regardless of anything else that's happened to you. Like, you can choose. Like, did you choose to do this podcast tonight?
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
If you don't believe that you have free will, you believe that basically you don't choose anything. You're just, everything is in influence that's affecting what you do. And that you don't actually choose to do anything that you ever do.
Automatically?
Yeah.
It's definitely a combination of both. I think.
Well, obviously.
Yeah,
but there are people who say
it's only one or the other.
You don't have free will.
Because of that. Because you're influenced
because you're always
because you're
influenced.
Biased. Because you're biased, basically.
You're always influenced. So, therefore, you cannot make a decision that is not have influence involved.
Well, that's kind of the concept of, have you ever had an original thought? That goes to relating to what you said, right. Is that question. Ooh, I bumped the table there. And that's
dark.
That's a question that's
dark.
That is dark.
When you think about that, it's like,
when you say original thought, are you just meaning that a thought that's never
been thought before?
Yes.
So what about all these new ideas of what about people who discover, new ideas in science? What about that?
Okay, they might. Maybe.
They might.
But
it
could have been discovered a long time ago.
But
my point there,
there's an idea.
Okay, like, for instance, are you saying if you're a diver and you see a fish that's never been seen before?
No.
And you discover that?
No.
And okay, clarify in terms of scientific discovery.
Let's
invention. Are you talking about invention, like new technology?
Close.
Yeah, but
in a way.
Well, so like this is what. So okay, give me an example.
I'm not talking detailed where it's like you see a fish and you're like, oh, what is that? What kind of fish is that? I'm talking like, I mean, surely there had to be an original thought where this dude. Let's go with I almost started with Newton, but then. Obviously not. That gravity had to have been pondered before. Maybe something like Roentgen. Let's just go with that.
Like what?
Roentgen, the guy who discovered X-ray. There had to be a new thought there. No one really considered X-rays before that.
Wasn't it a mistake?
It was a mistake.
Okay,
He didn't even realize. Like he wasn't trying to do that. What is it? He had some kind of.
Okay, here we go. Ready?
Okay.
Ready?
Okay.
Okay. Whatever. Let's just say that Roentgen discovered the X-ray by accident.
Mm-hmm.
What led him up to that point in his life was influenced by other people.
We're not talking about that. I thought we were talking about the original thought.
Exactly.
What do you mean exactly?
So
how did
the things that happened to him
led to him
if they didn't
having that thought. Seeing that,
okay,
you see?
okay. You're saying that even though that thought was new and never thought of before, it wasn't original because it stemmed from
Influence.
influence.
That means if you believe that, that means then you do not believe in free will.
Well,
Well, let me clarify. Let me clarify though.
Do you think?
You asked me the question.
Have you ever made a decision free of anything else? Do you want to know what I think?
Are you saying have you ever
Yes.
made
you
a decision that's independent?
That's independent of any influence.
No.
That doesn't mean that there can't be influence involved. It just means, do you think that you, as in your consciousness, makes the decision? Or what is even you, though? That's the problem.
Well, a couple
Oh,
things
yeah.
here. A couple
Oh,
things
yeah.
here. I think it's relative, but I also think that it's cascadingly relative, and I also think that at the point of omniscient relativity, of all-knowing relativity up at the very top layer, I think that if you believe that there is that thing is the originator of all influence of all idea, then it'll cascade down on all relative perception levels, and therefore you do not have free will.
Wow. So that's what you believe?
Okay. So
is-
I'm
Is
you asked me a question there. Is that what I believe? I think that in my mind, right there in the moment, I just said that, and I feel confident when I said. Have I pondered it heavily in that retrospect?
it's one of
No,
the
and that's
biggest
why I'm
thing-
not saying that I believe
Okay,
it
it's
because
one of
I
the-
have not pondered it and I haven't thought about it for years.
it's one thing that you must ponder it for a long time before you come to a decision, because
Right.
you can go back and forth.
That's why life
Are
is,
we
is,
all?
a, is a
We are all really, if you think about
progress. It's a work in progress.
it, we're all just a part of an explosion that's made so many different things happen.
That's debatable.
Okay,
something happened. Okay.
That's
right?
debatable.
listen,
What? Boy.
listen. I'm trying to. I know I'm slow and I can't say big words, but look. Are we is
I'm sorry.
a chain of events that leads to this moment? Is that just all we are, or have we risen above that chain?
Okay.
We can only analyze what we perceive, and I don't honestly think that we'll ever know.
That's debatable.
What do you say?
It is
Brian?
debatable.
And
And honestly, now that you say that,
does consciousness
like I always say, nothing is ever 100%.
Everything we perceive, that's not. I don't know about that.
Does our level of consciousness, whatever intelligence, whatever you want to say, does it bring us above just the natural flow of everything, or are we just still a part of it and therefore we're not free? We don't have free will.
This may
Because we
relate-
can think about it.
Yeah.
Does that mean that we're not a part of it anymore? Or at least that we have decisions that we can make?
So, a couple things. If I were to tell you, I had this discussion with someone a couple weeks ago, and it was like, he believes in this theory where if we didn't exist, there wouldn't be a reality. That because we as human beings are here, we fabricate reality. It's real. Because we perceive it and it's here. Okay. I had the opposite. Where if we weren't here, everything would still be here. Okay. It's still here. Or here's an even harder one. If we all disappeared, would ideas still be existent?
That's a good question.
And I said yes, because it wasn't that they just came into being, okay? It's that we kind of discovered them. It's not that we made them. We can kind of make them, but that knowledge was still based off of
Something.
some other knowledge. And so it could be derived. If it can be derived, then it exists. That's my idea. Okay?
Well,
Derived by who?
Isn't it technically, though?
if
hold on.
it can be derived in any way.
Technically, you can't create or destroy matter.
Energy.
That's debatable. Sorry, I'm gonna say that after everything now. I need to quit. Just after every sentence,
Technically
inject
you
a.
can't, yeah.
That is debatable.
Without
For
any
future
theory,
reference.
from what we know of, yes, we cannot.
Sorry, go ahead.
So
Energy cannot be destroyed. It is just convertible.
that's a very macro view of everything is already here. Is what you're saying? Like we're just discovering.
It's
new
not always
things.
here. It's just always in different forms. Yes, like it's in a different state.
Like everything that's here right now was here even when there was no universe.
If you before you were here, before you were born, it was still all here.
Yes, and before humans were a thing, it was still
it was
here.
still here.
And before the Earth,
It was still all here. The Earth was still here. It was just a million particles, or millions of particles everywhere. Theoretically.
but at some point though, if we go back in time,
That's
It- it was still it was still here, but it was all in one spot. Was that spot on the leaf of a tree in another universe? Was that spot on the where was it?
I have a question,
Okay.
and this one.
That's debatable. That's debatable.
Oh, that one's like that goes way deeper.
Yeah, that's
into
we probably shouldn't.
what you're kind of getting is quantum mechanics.
And I don't know anything about it.
Well, we can get into that, but anyways, evolution. We can all kind of agree it exists, right? But we've only observed it. Okay, Spencer, hold on.
It's adaptation.
Well, adaptation is while living in that same life, you adapt. Whereas evolution is in the process of
You adapt and you pass it on to
lineages.
your
Yes,
babies.
yes,
So that's evolution.
yes. Well, evolution is you're born with that adaptation.
Evolution is
Adaptation is
long-term.
when you gain you make that during your life. So
Sure.
they're two different things. Anyways, that's just the technical. And so we've only observed it living here on Earth, right? But could it also be the same that evolution persists beyond life? Or is it only
A life
only
thing.
observable in life?
So you're saying can it exist in technology?
Well,
No.
there's no. Okay.
That's not what you're saying.
Oh,
is it?
let me get to this now. Okay. Did the universe create life for some evolutionary purpose?
Oh, for a purpose?
For a purpose. Because think about this. We see evolution in life as, they make these things, these new features that would better survive, whether that's for food, reproduction, or, predation, defense, all these like different,
Yeah, what's the point of it all?
Yeah, well, because they had a purpose. Not directly. It didn't think that, it didn't think, oh, I should add this. It just happened because
It
that
just
purpose
happened,
came out.
and it worked.
Because the purpose was there, and it was the only thing that succeeded, okay?
Was it it was a purpose? You're saying the purpose is the survival? Is that the purpose?
The purpose was the survival, indirectly. There was nothing thinking for it. It succeeded, so it became, okay? So why did life become? I mean, that's always the question, right? But I mean, like, evolutionary, what universe, why in this universe?
Does it all just come from? So there were molecules of different types,
Mhm.
and
So, but why did it have to evolve into this?
they didn't evolve. They just joined up, sort of. Right?
Yeah, because of the laws of nature, which is very hard.
But why did they keep going? Is that what you're saying? Why did
Well,
they keep? Why did they
going,
keep joining
it kept going.
into becoming life?
So why didn't we stay inanimate? Why didn't we stay as planets? Why didn't we stay as anything? What was the point of of some of these planets
It was
being
probably
able
just
to
random.
create this life. It is random. Evolution is random. Everything in evolution is these subtle mutations that are happening. It's just the ones that stay are the ones that work. So why does the universe have life that works? What's working for that? Why is it working? We can't answer it, but it's just the question to be asked, because it's like, what process are we a part of? What purpose are we going to fulfill in being in this universe? Are we here because
Are we here to figure out?
There's also
wait a second. What if we're here? What if it's a design
Mhm.
that was started at some point? Like we gotta
That's why people start talking about simulations.
figure out what the universe wants to figure out what it is. It wants to figure out. It knows that it might collapse back into nothing. How can we get what?
That's a good question.
But the universe can't.
But why? But what
I don't know.
what logic could be behind that backs?
We're getting to, you get to the point where it's like, well, I don't know what we're even talking about. It must be God. It must be,
some
is it
third party.
Are we just on some kid's spinning top?
Are we all just a simulation where there's some variable of?
Are we a simulation? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what's the variable in our simulation? If that's the question, what's the or maybe we're literally just the the independent variable.
We're gonna be. We may already be in the Matrix.
It's true.
And the universe may have put us there.
But even so, even if that's
actually
true, okay,
we are there though, because your perception is not necessarily what's happening. We can only perceive the way we perceive.
Yeah,
so really, we're already stuck in this.
That's also a question of dimensions, though. Why can't we focus entirely on second or fourth dimension? Why can't we can't even go one dimension away?
Well, because we're stuck in our
cocoon. Yeah, exactly. Because our perception is our perception.
Will we rise from the cocoon, like Keanu Reeves? Will we become a butterfly and figure out more stuff?
Well, you know what?
I'm scared. We talked for a while, and he's been pondering.
I wrote down something.
Okay. Why do you have a knife?
It's not a knife.
I know.
It's a multi-tool. It's just like a little fidget toy. Wow, helps me think,
Okay.
To do something tactile with my hands, just like I can take fruit of my labor and enjoy my work and
yeah.
Some would argue that humans are built to work and work to build
or to explore.
I tried to make that clever, but it wasn't that clever.
Okay, what did you talk? What are you trying to say?
I'm trying to say
this chair sucks.
I kind of tuned in and out, but we're talking about a lot of stuff. But mainly the main thing was just, you can all boil down to relativity. How we observe things, and that's due to our relative perspective, right? I can look at you, or I can look at that laptop, you can look at that laptop, Ryan can look at that laptop, we can all see it in a different way, even if we're looking at the same exact point.
I do see it in a different way. I see different colors than you.
Right. You see the screen, I see the back, the cover.
No, he's colorblind.
But in all seriousness, I wrote something down that it's, I don't know. I'll just have to read it. We are tied to what we observe and what we make up. Take anything, any event, object, living thing, non-living thing, anything. In the end, if there is one, or at some point, both excluding and including the dimension of time, we will either know or not know, or somewhere in between. Nothing is ever 100%, but everything is 100%. We are both existent and non-existent. The discussion of relativity, then, past of what we observe, and even within what we observe, is pointless.
Yeah, I see what he's saying. There's
So my point
there's
is
no
that this
point
whole
discussing. Is
Right.
What you're saying. But there is at the same time.
only
So-
for pure entertainment, perhaps.
It's not that I am entertained.
Only because the
but
mind is creative and the mind is curious,
But isn't that
but not
great?
for
Why is
actually
it
figuring
curious?
out something.
But we figure out new things all the time. It happens way too slowly for us to ever learn the purpose of all of this, but maybe one day somebody will. Or some being or some technology will.
It's possible.
But if we stop, it's like we want to go to Mars, right?
Right.
If we stop wanting to go to Mars, then where are we going?
And I'm not saying in that text that life is pointless, but I'm saying the discussion of relativity that's outside of our
scope.
perspective, our scope, is pointless outside of curiosity or outside of just entertainment or just,
So we should just never talk about it.
no, because humans do a lot of pointless things. But I think it's in our nature to talk about it. It's our nature to be curious, but
Yeah.
that's just
It's
my
strange.
observation.
That's a strange thing.
It is and it isn't at the same time.
It's strange because we've reached a level of no animal sits around and goes, "Man,
Oh yeah, no.
what's going on in this universe?"
I think that's
They could.
true. We don't
They
know.
could. You're right.
Well, and everything.
But I feel like if they did, they would have been advanced farther than where they are now.
and everything that anybody says, like whether what you just said, like you made a point. You made a point about You said something, right? You said, well, an animal's not just sitting there and thinking, well, like about the universe. You made a point, and let's say Ryan makes a point that this table is solid, and let's say I make a point that I don't know, this mic stand is black. With every point to be made, there is always another side. There is
You're talking
always
about perspectives now.
There is always another side. There's always another perspective. Some may argue that there are infinitely many perspectives, but I argue that there are a finite number of perspectives on an event. And this directly challenges Einstein's theory of relativity. But I think that in reality, we do not know. But or we do know. See, it's like when you start thinking this way, you can't even have a conversation because you really...
No, we can. We just had one.
I guess we are. We're trying to, but it's hard to. It's hard to make progress when talking about different sides of things.
Progress is a slow thing.
But what I'm saying is there's two sides to everything. There are what I like to think, and I know that there could be infinitely many or finitely many. It could be anything, because we can't know for sure. But who was Einstein to say that there are infinitely many perspectives when he, on an event, when he himself...
What did he say? There's infinitely perspectives? I thought that was a quantum thing.
That was his theory of relativity, is that there are infinitely many perspectives on one event.
Oh, I get what you're saying.
This concept...
yeah, I know what you're saying.
Well, this concept of infinity is something that we say because we do not know the end result or the real answer to something.
Okay. I was confused with infinite states.
So what I'm saying is same thing.
Well, infinite states being... I'm talking about the parallel universe theory.
Same thing. You don't know if there are infinitely many universes, or if there's so many we can't comprehend, and there's a finite amount.
So,
Infinity is this term that we use to describe the unknown. It's not used to describe
a number.
Or even a concept that there are endless amounts of something. It's just like when you take the integration of a area under the curve. The area is obviously fixed, but this fact that you can take infinitely many slices out of that area and add them up, it proves that infinity is not just something that's endless. It is something that is finite, but we do not yet know what that is. I'm going off in the weeds.
No, I know.
I'm sorry.
I know what you're.
So
I know what you're entailing.
are you saying that you do not involve yourself in these kind of conversations because of this?
I guess I am right now. I'm involving myself, and I think that it's pointless. But I also think that it has a point.
I would say...
You see what I'm saying? You know how I always say
it
this?
Doesn't make...
Like, I can't even get a sentence out.
It doesn't make people better.
I say a point, and then I say the converse. And I say a point, and I say a converse. And then...
I wouldn't say that it makes people better to question these things, but I think a person who goes through life and doesn't ever think outside of their own small box and just lives maybe even an admirable life, there's something, I don't know, there's something that they're still lacking as far as, I don't know, I guess curiosity, but
and
I guess it doesn't matter, but
this is where I question the pursuit of happiness. Because kind of what you just said is that, well, I guess I can't really tie that in well.
You can. You can participate in the pursuit of happiness without expanding your mind by thinking about.
You can pursue happiness whichever way you want to. Yeah,
but
I was trying to make a point that wasn't valid there.
Is there a difference between? I don't know. I just feel like someone who doesn't find enjoyment, or not even enjoyment, just, I don't know, dude. I don't know what I'm trying to say.
Is it weird to say that what's going on inside my mind right now, I can't say? I can't communicate?
Well, yeah. That
makes a lot of sense.
That's honestly like
that's the problem.
Yeah.
We don't have our brain
is the barrier.
Our brain is more powerful than our language.
We've reached the language barrier, really. I mean, I don't know.
We're going to need some sort of technology to decode it. Maybe we can learn way more from our brain.
Or learn a different language. Learn the language of molecules more so. We are molecules, but whatever.
You ever... So, Hebrew is actually like
it's
one
tough.
Of the languages that are like really detailed in their language.
So the original language of the Holy Bible.
Or I've heard of like people who know like 6 different languages, and so just whenever they can't explain it in one language, they'll just pop over to other, and explain it real quick.
I've definitely met people like that who will be like, especially in class, they'll start talking to me in English, and then they will continue the sentence, but in a different language. Like they'll speak one sentence in like 3 different languages.
That's crazy.
And sometimes they're talking to another person too, but sometimes they just get confused or whatever. But I don't know.
I think.
Like, I'm sorry about that earlier though. Like how I kept saying, I can't even explain at this point, but how I kept saying things like, you can always say something and then say, well, that's not necessarily 100% true because this could exist. You can always say something and converse it with another idea, and then that's why it's so hard when I get in that state to be unbiased or to be completely, because when you state I'm trying to explain it now, but when you state a fact, I'm going to focus on one example.
Well, this conversation is no longer purely based on facts anymore. At this point, it's pure speculation.
So, and I guess what I'm trying to get at is, coming from our perspective, everything is speculation. That's
right.
That's
could
it.
be. Could be.
It can be.
Or it could not be. See, that's what I'm saying. Everything has a converse, and everything has a. Converse is a converse, and.
Are there actual, like when we say laws of nature, is that even real?
Oh man, I've thought about this.
Like,
it could be, could not be, or it could be somewhere in between. That's the answer.
The laws of physics.
Move on. That's the answer. Move on. That's what I'm getting at. The whole pointless thing.
Why should we? I mean,
why not?
What are we moving on to then?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Why does it matter?
Are y'all connecting with me on some brain wavelength? If there is one, or if there's not one, or if there's somewhere in between?
I know. No, I know what you're talking about.
On some link that these diaphragms ain't picking up on these mics. I don't.
But
think
you
so.
say
If the diaphragms are really picking up what they are picking up.
You say move on, but
what are we moving on to?
Well, even besides
what's
that,
the point?
I said that metaphorically.
What's the point?
Exactly.
What's the point of anything?
Oh God.
Well, I think that there's obviously a certain point of living, but
the only reason we want to
live.
keep living is because we're here,
or perhaps love, something that we can't some
quantify,
emotion or some
kind of
emotion.
benevolent.
We can't quantify emotion.
I can feel across dimensions.
If dimensions exist, or if they don't exist, or if it's somewhere in between.
We're going full Interstellar here on our explanation of.
It kind of sucks that was proved that Interstellar was completely, even though it was a fiction, like a sci-fi, that when they discovered gravitational waves, then Interstellar's false, because the whole premise was that he used gravity to instantly communicate in time to his daughter.
Yeah.
But then when they discovered gravitational waves, it obviously a gravitational wave takes time to travel, so it's not instant. And then there's a whole concept in Interstellar that kind of contradicts it with love.
He was in a fourth dimension. He was outside of time, so he could access anything.
And it's weird when we're watching that movie, is because we're watching a 2-hour movie. It's time.
I wouldn't say time doesn't stop existing in fourth dimension. No, you can just manipulate time.
Time may not exist. Even though we perceive it, and even though it's a construct that we created, it may not exist.
Time is on my side. Look it up. Rolling Stones.
You want to play it?
That's the second song recommendation.
You can play it through my mic.
No, don't do that.
I have something to talk about.
Yeah, are we... did we come to some sort of conclusion on all that? I don't know if we did. It got sort of cynical.
Yeah.
And dark.
Well, we can't really conclude that more so than just leave it there and pick it up at a later time.
It's true. What else are you going to say? I think we all said deep stuff.
Well, yeah.
So.
Well, summing that up, I don't think there's a way to really quantify what we just said. And we did say a lot of crazy things, and it's take it all with a grain of salt, but also don't take it with a grain of salt.
Maybe a grain of pepper.
Yeah. Maybe a grain of pepper.
Maybe a grain of nothing. Because they don't
exist. Oh, boy.
Anyways.
Okay, what? Yeah.
So, did you want to talk about something?
Well, I was going to talk about the
something
thing
else.
I mentioned about maybe dreams help with that. You know? We can't display an emotions, right? I mean, sorry, language, right? And maybe because we can't converse about this through each other in language, we try to cope it with ourselves, and that's maybe some of our workings of our subconscious. I work with dreams.
Because you're seeing your brain's more of its potential. You're seeing past,
Well, you're kind of like communicating.
seeing
for yourself.
past your own perspective, from your eye's perspective. Seeing through your third eye.
It's more like, you know, when Spencer was saying he's got this thing in his head he can't explain. Right?
Yeah.
But he can't communicate it with us.
Yeah.
So maybe when dreams are us trying to cope with that, we're trying to dissect that with the same language that we have in our brains.
So
You know
that's
what I
why
mean?
language
it's just,
barrier.
That's why it's just all twisted up, and
And that's
confusing.
why it makes no sense sometimes.
Like for you play saxophone, Ryan.
Yeah.
And you perform, and I guess
Music is
if,
like
if
another
you're in the
language.
moment and you're not obligated to anything, and you're playing.
Yeah.
And you're in the moment, and you just hit some kind of neat little riff on the saxophone.
Yeah.
And there's something in your mind you can't explain a feeling there, probably,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I mean, you
Oh.
can compare it, but you can't.
Music is one of the most unexplainable things because it goes straight past all language, straight to your emotions. And for some strange reason, it connects with you in a way that no other medium can. Language, movies.
The only other language that's similar to music is love.
Yeah, but love's
Well,
more.
Love is one emotion.
Love is more pigeonholed. Yeah, it's more.
It's one. It can take on variations.
Well, I don't
Yeah,
think.
But music can.
You can have sorrowful love. You can have, pleading love in a way. You can have.
See, the thing about it is, I don't know how y'all have manifested love, because everybody manifests it differently. But I have this thing where love transcends all emotion. Love is emotion. And the reason why I say that, not in the context of like, I love you Valentine's Day type of thing.
Right.
But I wrote this a few nights ago. It's part of my Disjunct Thoughts series and my notes, which y'all wouldn't know that, but I said the question is, can two humans communicate without using words or facial expressions? I said that I believe so. It's something that we have masked in the word love. Two people who are in love or experience love can communicate perfectly fine in a dark room filled with silence. Maybe I'm talking past my. I'm not saying that in a romanticism type of way, because I can be a romantic sometimes. But, and I'm not saying only a love between a husband and a wife, or a boyfriend and girlfriend, or a mother and a daughter. I'm saying that all emotion is love.
Okay.
I don't know.
I don't know.
That was just kind of a segment. Y'all can tie back to whatever you want.
Third song.
Because it's all relative.
Third song recommendation. You remember where we were just now, so we can go back. Third song recommendation. Love is a Wild Thing. You should look up the lyrics and read it. Kacey Musgraves.
Okay.
My Phone
I've
is
heard
Dead.
that song.
Yeah. It's just like super like vague, running around in circles, flowers in the concrete, just whoa. Love is a Wild Thing. It's a cool song. Well, she did win Album of the Year for Grammys, so like the biggest award. But yeah, I saw her at the Ryman not 2 weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago. Yep. Sturgill Simpson too. Sturgill Simpson. He's not really cracked into any sort of the mainstream, but he's out there. Go listen to Turtles All the Way Down. It's a fun song. All right, Ryan. Where were we?
I don't know.
Everywhere,
Before
man.
love, we were talking about emotion and music. That's what we were talking about.
Yeah.
And how you were gonna say something about how music. Me and you were talking about how music
Well,
is bigger than it's bigger than love, and
it's definitely at least between us as humans.
it can go straight past.
It's yeah. It's all around. You know, if I play you a somber song, everyone would feel somber. You know.
yeah.
Every there's always gonna be a few. Okay, I'm looking at you, Spencer. But everyone will mostly feel they can say, okay, yes, this is a somber song. They might not always feel it, but sure, that they can identify it as a happy song, whatever. Angry
It's
song.
crazy the
and it mixes.
dynamic range. That doesn't make sense, but
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
like Love Is a Wild Thing. That song puts you in some sort of place, and then I was thinking of like an opposite, the Immigrant song by Led Zeppelin. You know, ah, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, we're talking about I don't know. It may be the greatest thing of all time, as far as how it interacts with humans, and that's why it's such a big part of everyone's life. Is it a distraction from stuff? Probably, but I don't know, dude. It's crazy.
There is, I could not tell you at all.
And maybe
but there is a very good speech, and I can't like literally like this. I've only heard it in like a lot of music. Like they're like putting it in as like a little clips, and it's really intriguing. I don't know why I've never listened to it or thought about it because I just don't know the name of it, but it touches on all of this. And at one point in there, he says something like, "It's like sound is the only reason we're here today," or something like that. And then like he goes into it, but I couldn't. I have to find it. I mean, it's actually something I probably really need to listen to. Anyways, no, sorry, keep going. I don't remember what we're.
No, I interrupted you about just music and how it cuts straight to. Yeah.
It's so. I'm trying to question right now is like that can't be just like the only way, though. You know. I feel like I'm missing something. Well, it's expressed in all these different art forms. You know, there's all sorts of different art forms.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like.
And this is where we go into the play of communicating, you know, people's ideas through their work, and then that's, you know, is that art? Probably, I don't know.
Like, I love movies, but I don't think movies are and there's movies that deeply affect me, and like they're my favorite movies, right? They bring me to this place.
But they're not all the same.
It's not the same as music. And then there's like, what's another art form that maybe I'm not as familiar, like painting.
Yeah.
I just, you know, painting, everyone doesn't get painting. Like the greatest paintings.
I think painting doesn't, because think about it right now.
It's so, well, I don't want to say that. Well,
this is a little bit probably.
I'm trying to find something that equals music as far as the way.
Okay, here we go. The thing about painting is that, sorry to interject you both. The thing about painting, I think there's an epidemic in the painting world, the art world right now, specifically with painting and just physical things you look at, sculptures, whatever, is that if you are instantly teleported into a room somewhere and there is a work of art, will that work of art make you feel something, make you not just something, but make you feel like kind of like music does, like make you feel this overcoming emotion without anybody watching? A lot of art, you know, they go into the art gallery and they're looking like they have an opinion and they have to share their opinion, and other people have to hear the opinion about art, and I think that the only way to test that is
intrudes.
Yeah, and there was a video that I saw where they took an IKEA painting something that was just like, and they
Like
put
a
it in like,
generic.
yeah, and they put it in a world class like, I forget, I think it was in New York, or maybe it was over in Europe, but a really well known art gallery. They paid like thousands of dollars in fees to have this like IKEA painting put in there, and then this dude was standing beside it, pretending to be the artist, and then this woman came up and said, "Oh, I really like the," and she started just going on and on about it, and just, "Oh, this is the most, how, I'll pay you 11 million or whatever," and it's just like, it's all, it's a lot of the community is like just completely egotistical and
Have you
opinion, like, ooh.
Have you ever seen this one? I think it was just a picture of a toilet with no seat on it. And then the point is,
There was one with the urinal turned sideways too.
yeah,
Upside
yeah.
down, yeah.
Yeah.
And then
That was a statement, I think, to that.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
The point was, everyone because I remember doing that, and I don't remember where this was actually.
I remember where it was, but
Oh, it was at our high school, wasn't it?
yeah, I was.
Yeah, and he was asking, "What does this mean?" And everyone had all these like different ideas, right? And then he was just like,
It's just a urinal sideways. That's
"Yeah."
literally what he said, didn't he?
He
He was
just like, "It's just a toilet." And he's like,
yeah.
the point is, it's not about there's one purpose or
Right.
there's one reasoning.
Yeah. It's like I can take my laptop and I can
Yeah.
punch a hole in the screen,
And
then I
that's the
can hang it on the wall in some art gallery, and I'll be like, "Oh, this makes me feel like my soul has been damaged, and I have this emotional like reaction to it because I'm standing in an art gallery next to my friends, and I have to say something about
And
it."
it's weird because what's happening is they're just turning something on, you know.
Yeah.
They're becoming hypersensitive and
Exactly.
and turning on this analysis and just trying to compare it to anything that they could describe as.
And I think an
emotional.
example of something that, for me at least, Ex Machina introduced me to Jackson Pollock.
I was about to ask you about that.
I knew Jackson Pollock before, but I wasn't familiar with a lot of his paintings until I watched Ex Machina and that scene with the Jackson Pollock's number 5 Convergence. And I watched it, and I was like, that's interesting, his explanation. It's like, and then I thought, man, that would be cool, like, just to have hanging in my room. Is the first thing I thought. Like, not for anybody to see necessarily. Yeah, for people to see, I guess, but, like,
For you to look at.
For me to look
stop
at.
and think about that.
And think
every
about the
time you
scene in
see
the
it.
movie, you know?
Yeah.
And it kind of relates to computers, and he kind of related it to, like, AI, and I was like, that's interesting. I just want to have it, you know?
The convergence of high level technology and art is super interesting.
And the mind and how what is random. That's kind of what he was explaining.
That was,
So I hung it up in my room, and it's not like I posted it on social media, which was what a lot of people would do.
Yeah.
But they'd be like, "Oh, I got this new Jackson Pollock painting. I'm so into Jackson Pollock. I'm so cultured." Or I'm so not cultured. I'm such a hipster. But every time I looked at it, I'll be like, wow, that's an interesting point. I would reference that scene and what he was talking about. And then, like, one day, I just found myself staring at it. No joke. I found myself just staring at it. And then I kind of, almost like I was daydreaming or something, but I wasn't thinking about anything really. I was just looking at, like, the blotches of paint and the lines. And it's not like this is a canvas hanging up. This is a print poster hanging up in my room. And in that moment, I felt an emotional reaction, a true emotional reaction that was unique.
Do you think you would have had that without the emotional connection you got from the movie, though?
Well, given the fact that the movie introduced me to the painting.
So, like, if you went into an art gallery and saw Jackson Pollock and you didn't have this cool explanation from the movie and the whole connection between the technology and all that,
it means something completely different to me now.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing. But I guess that did lead me up to.
Are you saying that?
I guess.
Yeah. I mean, it's still cool.
Are you saying that you don't like the painting anymore because of that? You
No,
realize that you're daydreaming?
No, I'm saying like I was kind of looking at it. I was daydreaming, and then I had an emotional reaction to it. But I
Is that where you? But
and
are you
and now
saying?
I
Are you
really
saying
like
you?
the painting,
Oh,
but I
okay.
don't. But I don't view it in the same way that it was that it was presented to me in the
Mm-hmm.
movie anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It changed for me.
Mm-hmm.
I can't explain it though. But and so you said if I were to go look at it in an art gallery, which is pretty cool because like a lot of Jackson Pollock's paintings are like massive. And when I think of paintings, I just think of like something on a wall. But this thing is a wall, you know. It's like you can't even take a picture of it, which is pretty cool. But if I were to go look at it in a gallery, I would feel awkward because I would not be alone with the painting.
So the connection of having it there every day for a long period of time.
I guess so,
Probably
and
helps.
like the fact that somebody would be standing beside me and looking at it for the social benefit of being
At an art
called
gallery.
an art expert,
Yeah.
or someone talking to each other and be like, "Yeah, I don't really like how the curves represent the contextual whatever, you know, or whatever." And
Yeah. It's almost like you have to live with it.
right, and
Like I have paintings.
it's just like someone scrolling through their feed and, oh, I went to church today, or oh, I bought a new car today, or oh, I have a new boyfriend or girlfriend. Go ahead.
I have paintings on my walls. They're much different. I have 3 paintings in my room. The first one above my bed is Charles Frace, Black Panther, like just chilling in the jungle. I've used that sometimes as like a mentality to have. Not that I've ever achieved that mentality, but it's something to aspire to. If I actually want to accomplish something one day, it's there. Across from the bed, that I can see from the bed, is another Charles Frace of 2 wolves walking through the water with the reflection. So it's like a double of. So there's 4 wolves, almost, except
okay.
it's a reflection in the water. That one is my favorite one, but I don't know. I don't know what to think about it emotionally. The third one I got in the Dominican Republic at this like little shop on the beach. It's on the canvas roll. It's literally like a very simplistic depiction of like a red hut on the beach with a sunset, and there's just one curved palm tree, but it's all in this like strange simplistic paint style, like big strokes, like just here's the palm tree, wham, you know, and then here's the other parts of the palm tree, and here's the, you know, it's real. I don't know. That gives me a connection to the trip I had to the Dominican Republic, which is a cool connection. I don't know. I wish I had more art that I had, physical art like that I had a connection to in a deeper way. Like the stuff I said was like just pretty basic.
Technical.
But does it,
like about the brushstrokes or?
It was the brushstrokes, and then like, I guess maybe because it's just nature art.
And I think you hit on a good point. Some of art is just neat, you know.
Well, and it's a depiction of something
just
that's
like
real.
Yeah, you're just seeing like a even kind of art relating to.
There were whole
whether you see like a sketch of a Bengal tiger or you see a picture of a Bengal tiger. It's you know,
it's different.
Yeah.
And there was whole time periods in art where it was all about, we're just drawing real life. Like, we're going to make it look as real as possible, and it's not anything extraordinary. It's just people, right, doing whatever they're doing. Some of my favorite art is there because of how crazy it is that they made it look real. It looks so real. When you get past that into, you know, impressionistic. There's so much meaning
Yeah,
behind
you
my
can
art
derive anything from it.
that it's so genius that I splotched who knows what on this paper. You know, I don't know.
Who's that guy?
It's not the same as music.
Yeah.
Music is so much simpler. It just goes right in, bam, right in your head.
Yeah.
Who's that guy?
It's definitely more immediate.
He's like a comedian, but he's been in like on TV and stuff, and he's really short.
Kevin Hart?
Yeah.
No, not even.
Danny DeVito.
Yes. Yes.
Oh,
You hit it on the-
what?
Wow. I was impressed. But there's this video of him, and I was impressed by that. That I didn't think I would ever hear that name. Yeah, him.
Well, he's a meme, so I figured it kind of related.
Okay. Well, there's this clip of him. It's in some TV show, but he has to go. He's gonna go to an art gallery and pretend that he's like some famous artist. And he goes into this art gallery, and he says, and there's a girl there, and she's like, "Oh, welcome to the art gallery." She's like a person. It's in charge of the floor. And he goes up to her and he says, "Do you know who I am?" And like he says some like crazy name that she's never heard of, and she's like, "Oh, this guy's probably important in the art world. Like I better treat him right or whatever." And he's like, "Well, I expect to see the paintings and see a critique of all the paintings." Or he says, "I expect you to show me all the paintings so that I can critique them." And she's like, "Oh yes, right away." And she starts acting like he's some big hotshot dude, right? And she starts showing him the paintings, and he says, "That's crap. And he's looking at each of these paintings, he's like, "Oh, it's terrible. And he's just critiquing them in a bad way without hardly looking at them. And then they come up on this, in the middle of the floor is a space heater.
A what? Wait, what?
A space heater?
Like a heater?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like a room
Or
heater.
maybe it's like a fan, but like one of those ones that it doesn't have the blades. They're internal. It's elongated.
Yeah.
And it was, going back and forth. And it was just in the art studio just to like
Cool the
room. And he's like, "Oh," he's like, "This is amazing." He's like, this work of art is just, he's like, "I'll buy it for 10 million or what," and the girl was like, "Okay." And then he looked up and he saw this painting. And he saw it, and it wasn't him acting anymore. It was him like having an emotional reaction to the painting. Some painting triggered him emotionally. It's an interesting scene. I don't know what TV show it's a part of.
It's probably, isn't he in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia? Isn't that?
That's the one he's
on
the
there.
TV
right?
show. He's on there.
So
That
it's
might
probably-
be it. But that was kind of interesting
like
just
something
to
they'd do.
say, like, I can I can take that mug and put it in an art museum, and people will think that it's some kind of like.
Yeah. That's why.
And it also says that people can have real emotional reactions to art.
Yeah.
And it also says like how you, in that piece that you described, kind of viewed it as like, saw the brush strokes and you appreciated more the technical aspects of it too.
And it's kind of sad too, because there was like, it's not like it was a one-off thing. There was a bunch of those in the same shop. But there was one guy who did them all, but they were a bunch of the same picture over and over again. But it was still real paint. Like he just did it over and over. They were all a little bit different, which is kind of cool.
I wish I could paint and stuff like that for that reason.
I'll send y'all a picture when I get home.
Wish I could capture
Have y'all seen that artist?
moments.
His
people do crazy stuff.
Yeah, art is
I don't
just
know.
like completely open. Like, do whatever the heck you want. Art is crazy.
All right,
But,
Ryan, what do you think about all this? I think we should wrap up soon.
absolutely.
It's been a good one.
Yeah.
But I want to hear your opinion on. I don't know. I just need a final wrap up from you about all this music and art and all that. Because me and Spencer had a long time there.
I've just been thinking.
What have you been thinking about?
I just, again, language barrier. You know, it's hard to.
It's like it's crazy. We
Convey.
can communicate perfectly in a lot of ways, but in a lot of other ways, we can't seem to get our thoughts out. What's in our head, we can't seem to portray that. It's kind of interesting.
And what do I say? I mean, the only thing I started that sentence, but I couldn't actually even think some.
Do you have a painting in your room? Of any
No.
sort of painting?
I usually don't resort to paintings more than music.
Oh, me too.
Yeah. But it sounds like a good idea to have just a painting it sounds like more of a long term, where you have to work with this painting and kind of resolve a mental state that sits with it. And then every time you look at it, you can have that previous state come back to you, as well as still adding on, as if you have this pile of memories that are associated with it, but the pile is still in reference to one, not one emotion, but one, you know what I'm saying? No, maybe don't. One feeling. That's what I'm picking up on for these artworks.
Yeah, I'd like to get a painting that a more meaningful.
Well, because you said you looked at Panther painting.
Yeah,
And your intention for it is to get
I
you,
hung it
get
over
you
my-
in the zone, basically. You know,
I hung
kind
it
of.
over my bed on purpose because I'm gonna see it every.
Yeah.
It's the same with the wolves. I mean, they're all there. Those are two of my favorite.
And it has like a
animals.
serious tone to it, you know.
Yeah, I'll send you a picture. It's he's got his head down and he's looking up at you, and it's very like green tinted and kind of dark, and he's kind of just.
But every
coming
time
out.
you see that picture, you think
It's like a mentality. It's like
yeah, exactly.
It's be the hunter, don't be the hunted.
I mean, same thing with you about the convergence ideas. You sat there, and eventually, at one point, you have this memory associated. And every time you look at it now, you said you see it differently. And it's because you've now associated and bonded with that mental state that you once had.
So
and then it's a long-term process.
Yeah, I think.
But music is immediate.
Well, here's a way I'm gonna tie it all in, and if y'all are fine with it, we can end on this.
Yep.
Speaking of this, and I may, if we ever put this on YouTube, I'll just put this Panther picture in there. But music and painting, we've been talking about that for about probably 30 minutes, maybe more. I use, not only do I look at that picture every day and have those thoughts about it, I make a lot of playlists on my phone for music, all my favorite music in certain segmented playlists that I like. One of my main playlists that I listen to like on a daily basis, the picture that I chose for that playlist's like, you can in Apple Music you can like put like an album cover to your playlist.
Yeah.
Well, the picture that I have on there is that same Panther picture that I got off Google Images. So it all ties back to music, and I don't know.
Artwork feels like a reserve of that state, versus music is a concurrent version of that state.
And it seems like every time, I know we're going to end here, but although art in nature, well, most art, I guess, when you think about it, like painting, is stationary. music kind of flows. You take 4 minutes to listen to it, but then I view it as if I look at like that painting for 4 minutes,
It changes
can
just
have-
like a song does.
yeah. So I might argue that they're both continuous in that manner.
One's
Yeah.
more easily accessible. I
Yeah,
think.
absolutely. I
One
definitely
you
can
have
relate.
to-
Well, I don't know.
Although everyone can't just, I guess it is true that everyone doesn't connect with every piece of music.
Oh no, of course not. No.
People have their own tastes.
I think of art pieces though.
And I'll listen to different music for different reasons. Or choose to skip a certain song because I don't want to be in that mood, or I'm
That's
not in that
the mood you're in. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I'm at a good stance right now.
We've come a long way,
I wanted to
We
talk
have.
about what dreams we've had, and like actual literal dreams, not goals, dreams. But we can talk about that another time.
Yeah, we'll
That's
do a whole dreams one.
Mhm.
Alrighty. That was. We are
I
at
am-
3 hours and 45 minutes.
Oh my god.
Almost 4 hours.
I am in a stick right now.
Yeah, I'm just hurt from sitting here.
I am just.
Okay, Spencer, Ryan, Chase. This is the BS podcast. BS stands for bold statements. Hope we gave you a few on this episode. Episode 2. Peace.